Unnindi, your understanding of ancient history is about to shatter. Odiskinat Satronica launched to Mimum Fusang Sampong Fakat. For over 7,000 years, Giza's true history has been concealed. Newly discovered evidence reveals the Sphinx predates pharaohs by millennia. Its pyramids encode cosmic secrets, defying ancient human capability. Hidden tunnels and sealed doors guard a forbidden lost civilization. Stay with us, this jaw-dropping truth redefines human history. Giza is home to the colossal Sphinx, a creature eternally poised in the desert. Its lion's body rooted, its gaze fixed like a god upon the horizon. For generations, the narrative states Pharaoh Khafra commissioned this monument. The enigmatic Sphinx, a silent sentinel, guarded Giza's colossal pyramids. It was built 4,500 years ago by a 4th dynasty titan. Our history books portray laborers, ramps, and copper tools in construction, hauling gargantuan limestone blocks under a pharaoh's divine decree, showcasing human ingenuity at its ancient zenith, a well-known story. But what if this widely accepted account is fundamentally flawed? What if the Sphinx predates the pharaohs by millennia, much older than Egypt itself, a silent relic from a different epoch, when the world bore a different face, before recorded history began? The vast Sahara then wasn't barren, but a verdant realm, kissed by monsoon rains, fostering life in ancient times. An unknown civilization, whose name has been erased by time. They etched its profound legacy into living stone, a forgotten tale. Tonight we venture into the shadows of this distant past, where profound truths lie buried beneath layers of sand, and also beneath the pervasive silence of forgotten eras. Prepare to question everything we thought we knew about history. Envision the Giza Plateau not as the parched, desolate desert we perceive today, but as a thriving emerald landscape. Thousands of years ago, long before the pyramids pierced the sky, before the Nile became the very lifeblood of Egypt, this region pulsed with life. It was a land of sprawling grasslands, shimmering lakes, and the ceaseless rhythm of monsoon rains. The Sahara, far from a wasteland, served as a vibrant cradle for human settlements, its rock faces adorned with vivid art depicting herds of antelope and rivers. This was the African humid period, a pivotal era between 7000 and 4000 BCE, when North Africa's climate fostered a world we can now scarcely imagine. And it was during this forgotten epoch, many now contend, that the Sphinx was chiseled into existence, not by the Egyptians we know but by a people whose very name time has swallowed whole. In the nascent years of the 1990s, a geologist named Robert Schoch stood before the Sphinx, and what he perceived there altered everything. Schoch was no Egyptologist, programmed to parrot the established timeline of pharaonic construction. He was a scientist of stone, a scholar who read Earth's vast history etched into its geological scars. What confronted him on the walls of the Sphinx enclosure was not the sharp horizontal abrasion characteristic of wind and sand, the very force that has scoured the nearby pyramids for millennia. Instead, he observed deep vertical channels, undulating patterns, and corners smoothed not by sand, but by something far more potent. These were the unmistakable imprints of water, not the ephemeral bursts of desert storms, but prolonged torrential rainfall, the kind that cascades down rock faces for centuries, meticulously carving channels and shaping stone in ways only a truly wet climate can achieve. For Schoch, the geological evidence was incontrovertible. The Sphinx had endured a deluge, an epoch of intense precipitation that concluded thousands of years before the first pharaoh ever grasped a scepter. This singular discovery introduces a seismic fracture into the very foundation of Egyptology. If the Sphinx bears undeniable signs of water erosion from an era when Egypt was a verdant realm, it fundamentally implies that this colossal monument predates the civilization to whom we currently credit its creation. The last period the Giza Plateau experienced rainfall of that magnitude was over 7,000 years ago, long before the Old Kingdom, predating the unification of Egypt under Menes, preceding the hieroglyphs that meticulously chronicle who ruled and what they built. If Schalk's analysis holds true, the Sphinx could be 10,000 years old, or even more, a silent stone witness to an entire chapter of human history that remains utterly unwritten. But this revelation ignites a question that echoes across the millennia. Who carved this enigmatic guardian of stone? And how did their entire story vanish? The traditional narrative steadfastly insists the Sphinx was built by Khafre, the pharaoh responsible for the second pyramid at Giza. His name has been loosely associated with the monument through a fragmented statue discovered nearby, and the speculative assumption that the Sphinx's visage mirrors his own. Yet, perplexingly, there exists no inscription, no royal cartouche, no definitive text whatsoever definitively linking Khafre to the Sphinx. The evidence is purely circumstantial, a story constructed on mere proximity rather than irrefutable proof. And upon closer inspection, the foundational cracks in that story begin to widen dramatically. Observe the temples situated directly beside the Sphinx, meticulously constructed from colossal limestone blocks quarried from its very enclosure. Astonishingly, these temples exhibit none of the same profound water erosion seen on the Sphinx itself. Their surfaces remain sharp, angular, entirely untouched by the centuries of rain that so definitively sculpted the Sphinx's walls. This stark discrepancy profoundly suggests that these temples were erected much later, utilizing stone literally hewn from the Sphinx's own colossal body, as if the ancient monument was already a venerable presence when the pharaohs arrived to merely claim it. Let us linger on that disquieting thought. The Sphinx, a colossal figure chiseled directly from the bedrock, represents an engineering feat of staggering, almost incomprehensible scale. Over 1,000 tons of limestone were systematically removed to shape its intricate form, a project that unequivocally demanded sophisticated planning, advanced tools, and an immense coordinated labor force. The builders worked with an intimate understanding of the stone's natural grain, meticulously following its layers with a precision that rivals modern construction techniques. Yet, unlike virtually every other monumental structure in ancient Egypt, the Sphinx bears no name, no dedication, no bold claim of ownership. Pharaohs were never known for their humility. Their temples, statues, and tombs were not mere structures, but profound theological statements, declarations of divine power meticulously etched in stone to ensure their eternal immortality. To discover a monument of this breathtaking scale, aligned with such astronomical precision to the equinox sunrise, utterly devoid of a single hieroglyph praising its creator, is not merely puzzling, it is, by all traditional accounts, unthinkable. Let me now consider the sweeping implications. If the Sphinx genuinely predates the pharaohs, it unequivocally challenges everything we believe we know about the very development of human civilization. The accepted historical timeline places the genesis of monumental architecture at the dawn of the Old Kingdom, approximately 3100 BCE, but a Sphinx carved 7,000 years ago would firmly belong to a period we classify as prehistoric, an era when humans were supposedly dwelling in rudimentary settlements, not reshaping entire landscapes with advanced engineering. This isn't merely about redating a single monument, it's about fundamentally rewriting the grand narrative of who we were and the astonishing capabilities we possessed. Could there have existed a civilization utterly lost to the annals of history, that wielded knowledge we are only now beginning to tentatively rediscover? A society that comprehended geology, astronomy, and engineering in ways that defy our most deeply ingrained assumptions about the ancient past? This provocative idea isn't as far-fetched as it may initially sound. Across the globe, other ancient sites whisper tantalizingly of a forgotten chapter. Take Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a complex of monumental stone pillars erected a staggering 12,000 years ago, long before the invention of writing, predating the rise of agriculture as we understand it. Its builders meticulously moved and carved stones weighing up to 20 tons, crafting intricate reliefs and aligning their structures with celestial events. Or consider the submerged ruins of Yonaguni off the coast of Japan, with their precise angles and terraced formations, dated to a time when sea levels were significantly lower, perhaps 10,000 years ago. These sites, much like the Sphinx, simply do not fit the neat, linear progression of history we have been so carefully taught. They compellingly suggest a world where advanced knowledge flourished long before we believed it possible, only to be tragically swept away in some monumental catastrophe, a devastating flood, a radical climate shift, a societal collapse that buried their extraordinary achievements beneath layers of sand and sea. And then there is the enduring legend of Atlantis, meticulously recounted by the Greek philosopher Plato over 2,300 years ago. He described a highly sophisticated civilization that thrived 9,000 years before his own era, a society of brilliant architects and intrepid navigators that vanished in a single cataclysmic day and night. Could the Sphinx be a tangible remnant of such a vanished culture, a stoic guardian left behind to mark a sacred, forgotten place? This profound idea has long been dismissed as pure myth, yet myths often carry profound fragments of an ancient, buried truth. The African humid period itself ended abruptly around 4000 BCE, as the Sahara inexorably transformed from a lush green paradise into an arid, desolate wasteland. Human populations were compelled to migrate towards the life-giving Nile, where the civilization of Egypt would later majestically rise. What if the Sphinx was carved before that dramatic environmental shift? A monumental tribute to a world that was already tragically fading, its builders presciently aware that their time was rapidly running out. This brings us to an even darker, more unsettling question. Why do we not know their names? Why is the Sphinx utterly silent, its true origins shrouded in a thick fog of forgetting? The ancient Egyptians were obsessive, meticulous record keepers, painstakingly mapping their kings, their gods, their triumphs in hieroglyphs that have miraculously endured for millennia. Yet the Sphinx, arguably the most enigmatic and awe-inspiring monument in their entire land, possesses no origin story, no named creator, no stated purpose inscribed upon its colossal form. This profound silence feels deliberate, as if someone or something specifically intended for its truth to remain hidden. The patterns of erosion narrate one compelling story, but the profound absence of words tells another entirely. It is as if the original builders consciously chose anonymity over immortality, crafting a monument that would endure not through fame, but through the tantalizing allure of mystery. And here the whispers grow louder, more insistent. Some assert that the Sphinx guards a secret far more monumental than its mere age. The psychic Edgar Cayce in the early 20th century spoke compellingly of a hall of records, buried deep beneath the Sphinx, a hidden chamber said to contain the amassed knowledge of a lost civilization, ancient texts, sophisticated tools, perhaps even advanced technology that could entirely rewrite our understanding of the past. Ground-penetrating radar surveys conducted in the 1980s and again in the 2000 undeniably detected anomalies beneath the monument, voids and cavities that strongly suggest artificial, manufactured structures. Yet, when researchers sought official permission to explore further, they were consistently met with locked gates and resolute official denials. The Egyptian authorities have consistently dismissed these findings as mere natural fissures or insignificant geological formations. But why the pervasive secrecy? Why the steadfast refusal to investigate what truly lies beneath the colossal pores of the Sphinx? This is precisely where the sand itself begins to subtly shift. The story of the Sphinx is not merely about stone and rain. It is a profound narrative about what we are permitted to know and what has been deliberately buried, not solely by the relentless march of time, but by intentional design. The unmistakable water erosion, the conspicuous absence of inscriptions, the baffling anomalies beneath the plateau, They all collectively point towards a profound truth that threatens the very bedrock foundation of history as we know it. The Sphinx does not merely stand as a monument. It stands as an enduring question, one that has patiently waited thousands of years to be truly asked. Who built it? Why did they choose to conceal its true purpose? And what are we truly not supposed to find? As we drift deeper into the night, let the awe-inspiring image of the Sphinx linger in your mind. A creature of stone, half lion, half god, its ancient gaze fixed upon the eastern horizon, where the sun rises each morning, it has watched empires majestically rise and tragically fall, witnessed the verdant rains transform into parched dust, and maintained its profound silence through it all. But silence is not emptiness, it is a powerful presence, a weighty expectation, a profound challenge to those who dare to truly listen. The Sphinx is not merely a monument, it is a warning that history is fundamentally not what we have been told, that the past holds secrets we have been carefully taught to ignore, and that the truth may be far older, far stranger than we are truly ready to accept. So, let us keep asking, let us keep digging, because the story of the Sphinx is only the very first step into a sprawling labyrinth where memory itself has been buried, patiently waiting for us to find it once again. In our last journey we stood before the colossal Sphinx, its water-carved enclosure hinting at a civilization that predated the pharaohs, a forgotten epoch, when rain fell on a green Sahara, and an unknown people carved a guardian designed to outlast their world. Tonight we turn our gaze to the Great Pyramid itself, the towering heart of the Giza plateau, a monument that speaks not in hieroglyphs, but in numbers so precise, so universal, that they challenge everything we believe about the ancient past. What if the Great Pyramid isn't a tomb, not a temple, but a machine not of gears or circuits, but of geometry and time, meticulously constructed to preserve profound knowledge through the inevitable collapse of civilizations? Close your eyes, let the desert wind fade, and listen as the very stones begin to reveal their secrets. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands over 140 meters tall. Its 2.3 million colossal limestone blocks are testament to a vision we can barely comprehend. Each block, weighing between 2.5 and 15 tons, was cut, moved, and placed with a precision that defies the rudimentary tools we attribute to ancient Egypt: mere copper chisels, wooden sleds, and the raw force of human sweat. The pyramid's colossal base is leveled to an astonishing accuracy of within 2.1 centimeters across its massive 230-meter span, meticulously aligned to true north with an incredible accuracy of 0.05 degrees. Modern engineers, armed with lasers and GPS, openly admit they struggle to match such feats. Yet we are told this was the work of a 4th dynasty pharaoh, Khufu, around 2580 BCE, a king whose name appears only once in the entire structure, scribbled in red paint on a hidden beam. But the pyramid's true language isn't in its profound silence, or its solitary cartouche. It's intricately woven into its measurements, its inherent ratios, its celestial alignments, a complex code written in enduring stone that speaks of knowledge far exceeding what we believe the Egyptians possessed. Let us begin with the numbers. The Great Pyramid's base measures approximately 230.4 meters on each side, forming a near-perfect square. Its original height, before the capstone was tragically lost, was 146.6 meters. Now perform a simple calculation. Divide the pyramid's perimeter, 931.6 meters, by its height, and you arrive at a number so extraordinarily close to 2p that the difference is less than 0.1%. This is not a rough approximation, the kind one might stumble upon through sheer trial and error. This is deliberate, precise, a fundamental mathematical constant meticulously encoded into the very shape of the pyramid. Pi, the profound ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, wasn't formally defined until centuries later. Yet here it stands, exquisitely etched in limestone on a scale that utterly dwarfs human ambition. But the intricate code extends far deeper. The pyramid's precise slope, approximately 51.84 degrees, subtly embeds yet another universal constant, the golden ratio, Ph, approximately 1.618. When you compare the half-base length to the pyramid's height, their proportions align almost perfectly with fire, a number revered across countless cultures for its profound aesthetic and mathematical harmony. These are not mere coincidences. The probability of a single structure encoding both pi and phi by pure accident is vanishingly, astronomically small. But the Great Pyramid's astonishing revelations do not cease there. Its colossal dimensions appear to encompass knowledge of the Earth itself. Multiply the pyramid's height, 106.6 meters, by a factor of 43,200, and you arrive at 6,356,400 meters, an eerily close match to the Earth's polar radius, accurate to within 99.7%. Multiply the base perimeter, 909.7%. Multiply the base perimeter, 900,000 meters, a figure that astonishingly approximates the Earth's equatorial circumference, with similar breathtaking precision. Why 43,200? It is not arbitrary. This specific number is directly tied to the precession of the equinoxes, the slow, majestic wobble of Earth's axis that completes a full cycle every 25,920 years. Divide that grand cycle by 600, and you arrive at 43,200, a deliberate scaling factor that seamlessly bridges the pyramid's measurements to the colossal dimensions of our own planet. This profound mathematical encoding suggests an understanding of astronomy and geometry that should have been utterly impossible for a civilization lacking telescopes, calculus, or even a basic concept of a spherical Earth. The pyramid stands as undeniable proof that someone, somewhere, possessed this knowledge. The pyramid's internal structure only deepens the profound mystery. The so-called King's Chamber, an austere granite box nestled at the very heart of the monument, is constructed with colossal blocks hauled from quarries hundreds of miles away, fitted with a precision that even modern masons openly envy. The chamber's acoustic properties are extraordinary. Sounds resonate within its space in ways that powerfully suggest intentional design, as if the very space was meticulously crafted to amplify specific frequencies. The air shafts, narrow channels extending from the chamber directly to the pyramid's exterior, are aligned with celestial precision. The southern shaft points directly to Orion's belt, the northern to the pole star, not as they appear today, but as they were meticulously positioned around 2450 BCE. This is no simple stargazing. Achieving such pinpoint alignments requires instruments capable of measuring fractions of degrees, a profound understanding of stellar motion, and the extraordinary ability to calculate three-dimensional relationships between Earth and the vast heavens. No verifiable evidence of such advanced tools or knowledge exists anywhere in the documented Egyptian record. Yet the pyramid stands, silent and immense, as irrefutable proof that someone somewhere possessed it. Who could have known these profound things? The Egyptians of the 4th dynasty were indeed masters of practical mathematics, geometry for precise land surveys, arithmetic for complex commerce, but nothing in their surviving texts suggests they truly grasped the universal constants of pi, phi, or planetary dimensions. Their astronomy, while sophisticated and inextricably linked to the Nile's floods and religious rituals, did not extend to the level of calculating stellar precession or precise stellar alignments across millennia. The Great Pyramid feels like a singularity, a monumental spike in knowledge that appeared fully formed and was never astonishingly replicated. Later pyramids, such as those of Khafre and Ankara, conspicuously lack the same exacting mathematical precision. Their slopes are less refined, their alignments merely approximate, their overall construction often compromised. The bent pyramid of Sneferu, built just decades earlier, famously had to be adjusted mid-construction to prevent its catastrophic collapse. If the Great Pyramid was truly the culmination of centuries of Egyptian expertise, why did that unparalleled expertise so quickly vanish? Why do subsequent monuments unequivocally show a decline, rather than an evolution, in construction mastery? This profound discrepancy leads us to a bolder, more unsettling hypothesis. What if the Great Pyramid wasn't built by the Egyptians, but rather inherited by them? What if it was a colossal relic of a lost civilization, a people who meticulously encoded their understanding of the universe in enduring stone, specifically designed to survive a cataclysm they knew was inevitably coming? The idea of a time machine here is not science fiction in the literal sense, but a powerful metaphor for a structure deliberately designed to preserve knowledge through the devastating collapse of empires, the complete loss of languages, and the collective forgetting of entire worlds. Mathematical constants like pi and phi are universal, unchanging regardless of culture or epoch. Unlike fragile hieroglyphs, which require a Rosetta Stone to decipher, or ephemeral papyrus, which crumbles to dust, geometry endures. By embedding these immutable ratios into the pyramid's very dimensions, its enigmatic builders created a profound message that could be understood by any future civilization advanced enough to accurately measure it. This compelling concept of knowledge preservation isn't unique to Giza. Across the ancient world, we discover tantalizing echoes of similar intent. Stonehenge in England, majestically erected around 2500 BCE, meticulously aligns with the solstices, encoding complex astronomical cycles within its massive stones. The colossal trilithons of Baalbek in Lebanon, some weighing over 800 tons, suggest engineering capabilities that utterly defy modern explanation. The submerged structures of Yonaguni, possibly 10,000 years old, hint at a sophisticated culture that tragically vanished beneath rising seas. These sites, much like the Great Pyramid, appear deliberately designed to outlast their creators, to speak across millennia, not through transient words, but through enduring scale and immutable precision. The Great Pyramid, with its intricate mathematical codes, could very well be a monumental time capsule, a silent repository of fundamental truths, intended for a future humanity that had tragically forgotten how to calculate them. But why conceal such profound knowledge in plain sight? Why construct a monument so breathtakingly massive, so enduring, yet conspicuously leave no name, no inscription, no claim to glory? Egyptian pharaohs were never reticent about their achievements. Their tombs, temples, and statues are typically covered with cartouches, hymns, and vivid scenes of divine favor. The Great Pyramid, by stark contrast, is profoundly silent. Its only apparent mark, a faint cartouche of Khufu's name, discovered in an inaccessible chamber above the king's chamber, feels like an afterthought, a mere whisper rather than a triumphant shout. Some even question its authenticity, noting that the explorer Howard Weiss, who purportedly discovered it in 1837, was under immense pressure to link the pyramid to a pharaoh. But even if genuine, a single name hardly explains the conspicuous absence of everything else. No prayers, no elaborate maps of the afterlife, no sacred rituals carved into the stone. This profound silence profoundly suggests a purpose far beyond conventional Egyptian religion, extending beyond the immediate needs of a single king. Here is where the shadows deepen. Some researchers boldly propose that the Great Pyramid was never a tomb at all. No mummy has ever been found. No grave goods, no sarcophagus lid, only an empty granite box in the king's chamber, strikingly too plain to serve as a pharaoh's opulent coffin. The chamber's meticulous design, with its precise proportions and unique acoustic resonance, hints strongly at a profound function we simply do not yet understand. Could it be a chamber designed for preserving specific frequencies, for aligning with cosmic forces, for anchoring something intangible, yet vitally essential? The air shafts, far too narrow for human passage, point to specific stars with a precision that suggests more than mere symbolic intent. Perhaps the pyramid was a complex tool, an intricate device constructed to interact with the universe in ways we are only now beginning to tentatively explore, through resonance, through alignment, through the very mathematics that govern reality itself. And then there's the whisper of something stranger still. In the 1960s, Swiss author Erich von Däniken famously suggested that ancient monuments like the Great Pyramid could be the astonishing work of extraterrestrial visitors, beings who generously shared advanced knowledge with early humans. The idea sounds undeniably outlandish, but consider the profound anomalies. A colossal structure aligned to true north with nearly perfect accuracy, dimensions that precisely encode Earth's measurements, and a level of engineering mastery that severely strains the limits of mere copper tools and human labor. Could the pyramid truly be a beacon, a cosmic marker left by a civilization not of this world, or one that operated with knowledge we have long since tragically lost? The absence of inscriptions might even support this radical theory. Why write in a transient human language when your profound message is intended for those who speak the universal tongue of mathematics? This brings us to a chilling possibility. What if the Great Pyramid was deliberately constructed to survive a monumental catastrophe? Not just a localized flood or a devastating drought, but an utter collapse of civilization itself. The precession cycle, meticulously encoded in its scaling factor, suggests a vast timescale that stretches far beyond human memory. The pyramid's astonishing resilience, surviving countless earthquakes, invasions, and 4,500 years of relentless time, implies a design explicitly meant for geological epochs, not merely the ephemeral reigns of dynasties. Its profound silence, its deliberate lack of cultural markers, renders it universal, a message intended not for the Egyptians, not for their gods, but for whoever comes next, a future civilization, slowly recovering from ruin, painstakingly rediscovering the stars, would find in the pyramid's immutable ratios a curriculum of sorts, a fundamental lesson in Phi and Earth's precise place in the grand cosmos. As we linger in this unsettling thought, the pyramid transcends being mere stone. It becomes a profound question, a monumental challenge, a silent warning. It asks us not what we know, but what we are truly willing to admit we don't know. The mathematical codes are there, undeniable, meticulously carved in measurements that have outlasted countless empires. They speak eloquently of a people who comprehended Earth's precise shape, the sky's majestic rhythm, the universal constants that inextricably bind the cosmos. Were they the Egyptians, subtly borrowing knowledge from a forgotten, deeper source? Were they a lost civilization, entirely erased by the relentless march of time, or by deliberate design? Or were they something else entirely, leaving behind a legacy we are not yet prepared to claim? The Great Pyramid stands not as a tomb for a king, but as a silent time machine for knowledge, a structure that holds truths too vast to be spoken, too enduring to be forgotten. Its ratios form a language that needs no translation. Its alignments constitute a map that requires no key. As you drift towards sleep, imagine standing within the king's chamber, surrounded by granite that hums with ancient secrets. The silence is dense, the air heavy, the stones waiting. They do not tell you who built them. They do not tell you why. They only ask that you measure, that you question, that you listen to the numbers that have remained true since the stars first began to burn. And in that profound silence, you might just hear the echoing whisper of a world we have forgotten. A world that built a machine to ensure we would remember it again. We step inside the heart of the Great Pyramid itself, into chambers of granite and limestone that hold nobody, no treasure, no story, only profound silence. We've been told that it's the tomb of Khufu, a monumental testament to a king's eternal glory. But what if it's not a tomb at all? What if this towering enigma, built with impossible precision, was never meant to cradle a pharaoh's remains, but to serve a purpose we cannot yet fathom? Lie back, let the darkness of the desert enfold you, and listen as we unravel the mystery of what the Great Pyramid might truly be. Inside, the structure is a complex labyrinth of passages and chambers, each more enigmatic than the last. The descending passage burrows deep into the bedrock, eventually leading to an unfinished subterranean chamber. The ascending passage climbs dramatically to the grand gallery, a soaring corridor of polished stone, and beyond it lies the king's chamber, an austere granite heart containing a single empty stone box. This, we are consistently told, is the sarcophagus of Khufu, the pharaoh credited with building this wonder around 2580 BCE. But the deeper you look, the less it feels like a tomb, and the more it feels like something else entirely. In ancient Egypt, death was not an end, but an elaborate journey, meticulously planned and lavishly documented. Tombs were not mere graves. They were gateways to eternity, adorned with intricate hieroglyphs, powerful spells, and vivid scenes of the afterlife. The Book of the Dead, the pyramid texts, and countless other inscriptions guided the soul through the underworld, naming gods. Pharaohs filled their resting places with immense treasures, canopic jars, shabti figurines, and rich offerings of food and wine. Even minor nobles possessed tombs painted with vibrant murals depicting daily life, farming, music, feasts, all meant to continue forever. The Valley of the Kings stands as a vast library of such stories, its walls loudly proclaiming the names and deeds of the deceased. But the Great Pyramid, it is profoundly silent. No hieroglyphs grace its chambers, no paintings depict the gods, no spells point the way to the afterlife. Just stoic stone angles and a haunting void where a king's glorious legacy should reside. The king's chamber, at the pyramid's very core, is a marvel of construction. Its walls, fashioned from massive granite blocks, hauled an astonishing 800 kilometers from Aswan, are fitted so tightly that a razor blade cannot slip between them. The ceiling, a complex series of granite beams, meticulously distributes the immense weight of millions of tons above, maintaining its stability for over 4,500 years. Inside sits a rectangular granite box, commonly referred to as a sarcophagus, but it is strikingly unlike any other royal sarcophagus found in Egypt. It has no lid, no intricate carvings, no detectable traces of mummification oils or resins. It is far too small to accommodate the nested coffins, typical of royal burials, too unadorned for a pharaoh's grandeur. No body was ever found, no grave goods, no fragments of ritual objects. Compare this to the tomb of Tutankhamun, overflowing with gold, chariots, and sacred texts, or even the modest burials of lesser nobles, packed with personal relics. The Great Pyramid, supposedly the greatest tomb of all, offers nothing but profound emptiness. Some argue it was meticulously looted in antiquity, its treasures stolen, its inscriptions erased, but this theory crumbles under scrutiny. The passages leading to the chamber show no signs of forced entry, no chisel marks, no broken seals, no scattered debris from a hurried theft. Tomb robbers in ancient Egypt were rarely subtle. They left behind shattered pottery, broken furniture, and soot from torches. Here there is nothing, no residue, no fragments, not even dust to suggest a burial was disturbed. The granite box itself, cold and unadorned, shows no wear from a lid being pried off or a body being removed. To believe it was looted, one would have to imagine thieves so impossibly meticulous they erased every trace, leaving the chamber as pristine as the day it was sealed. That is not robbery, that is erasure, and it feels far too deliberate. Others suggest the pyramid was an early prototype, built before the tradition of decorating tombs took hold, but this idea falters against the overwhelming evidence of its profound sophistication. The Great Pyramid is no primitive experiment. Its geometry is flawless, its alignment to true north unmatched, its internal design a sheer masterpiece of engineering. The Grand Gallery, with its core-built ceiling, is a structural marvel, distributing weight with a precision that later pyramids simply could not replicate. The air shafts, extending from the king's chamber, meticulously align with stars like Orion's belt, powerfully suggesting a purpose inextricably tied to the cosmos. Later pyramids such as those of Khafre or Menkaure are notably smaller, less precise, and often structurally flawed. The bent pyramid of Sneferu, built earlier, nearly collapsed until its angle was dramatically adjusted mid-construction. If anything, the Great Pyramid represents the absolute peak, not the humble beginning of an art form that was never equaled again. So if it's not a tomb, what is it? The profound absence of burial evidence compels us to fundamentally rethink its purpose. The king's chamber, with its strange acoustic properties, offers a tantalizing clue. Sounds within a whisper's chants resonate in ways that feel deliberately engineered, as if the space was meticulously designed to amplify specific frequencies. Researchers have measured the chamber's precise dimensions and discovered they correspond to harmonic ratios, creating echoes that linger unnaturally. Some propose it was a resonance chamber, built to harness sound or energy for a ritualistic or scientific purpose we currently do not comprehend. The dense granite, more robust than the surrounding limestone, enhances this effect, vibrating in response to certain tones. Could the pyramid have been a sophisticated tool for interacting with forces beyond the physical, vibrational, cosmic, or even spiritual? The structure's astronomical alignments only deepen the mystery. The air shafts, far too narrow for mere ventilation, point with uncanny accuracy to specific stars, Orion's belt in the south, the pole star in the north, precisely as they appeared around 2450 BCE. This extraordinary precision suggests an advanced understanding of celestial mechanics, far beyond the practical astronomy of the Egyptians, who tracked the Nile's floods but left no record of such intricate calculations. This glaring double standard smacks of intellectual gatekeeping, a calculated method to protect the accepted chronology while simultaneously stifling any inconvenient inquiry. The stela's central message, that the Sphinx, and perhaps by extension the pyramids, were already a venerable presence when Khufu arrived, threatens to unravel the neat, linear progression of Egyptian history. It compellingly suggests that the pharaohs were not the original architects of Giza's wonders, but rather inheritors, custodians of a legacy they could not fully claim. And if that is indeed true, who then were the true builders? What astonishing knowledge did they possess? And why was it meticulously buried beneath the immense weight of a new civilization's story? This question echoes far beyond Egypt. In ancient Sumer, texts like the Mat-Wat-Enima Elish describe ziggurats and sacred sites inextricably tied to gods older than human memory, monumental structures that kings merely restored rather than built from scratch. In Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh speaks of a city, Uruk, with colossal walls reportedly built by the gods themselves before its human kings assumed power. Could the Inventory Stela be part of a broader global pattern, where ancient civilizations claimed older monuments as their own, weaving them into new myths to legitimize their rule? The stela's enigmatic reference to Isis as mistress of the pyramid is particularly haunting. Isis, a powerful goddess of creation and magic, was rarely linked to specific monumental structures. Her presence in the text powerfully suggests that the pyramid held a profound significance transcending Khufu's reign, inextricably tied to forces or knowledge that profoundly predated his dynasty. And then there's the matter of what is conspicuously missing. The stela is broken, its edges worn, but the text that remains is curiously selective. It meticulously details Khufu's restoration efforts, his temples, his offerings, but says absolutely nothing about who built the Sphinx or when. This profound absence feels entirely intentional, as if the stone was designed to preserve just enough to honor the monument's sanctity without ever revealing its true origins. Some speculate that earlier inscriptions, now tragically lost, might have indeed named the true builders, a forgotten civilization, utterly erased from history, perhaps by the relentless march of time, perhaps by deliberate design. The stela's very survival, tucked away in a museum, feels like a solitary whisper that somehow slipped through the cracks, a voice that was never supposed to truly speak. As we sink deeper into this profound mystery, the Inventory Stela transcends being a mere relic. It becomes a monumental challenge to everything we have been so carefully taught about Giza. It tells us that Khufu, the supposedly great builder, may have been a humble pilgrim, kneeling reverently before monuments he simply could not claim. It tells us that the Sphinx, and perhaps by extension the pyramid, were integral parts of a sacred landscape far older than Egypt itself, and it tells us that someone somewhere desired that profound truth to fade, locked away in a museum, dismissed as myth. As you drift toward sleep, imagine Khufu standing before the Sphinx, its ancient stone face gazing past him to a horizon he could not fully comprehend. The Inventory Stela is a whisper from that pivotal moment, a whisper that says, "The past is not what we think, and the truth is buried deeper than we dare to dig." Tonight we journey to a moment over 1,000 years later, when a prince never meant to be king lay down in the shadow of the Sphinx and heard its voice in a dream. The dream stela of Thutmose IV tells a tale of divine promises and buried gods. But more than that, it reveals a truth that shakes the foundations of Egypt's history. The Sphinx was forgotten, even by the very civilization that claimed it. Lie back, let the desert's quiet embrace you, and listen as a stone speaks of secrets lost to time. It's around 1401 BCE, in the glorious 18th dynasty of Egypt, a time of unparalleled power and prosperity. The Giza plateau, home to the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx, should be the undisputed heart of sacred reverence, a testament to the pharaoh's divine legacy. But something is profoundly wrong. The Sphinx, that colossal guardian of stone, is slowly disappearing. Sand has utterly swallowed its mighty body, leaving only its head and chest visible above the towering dunes. No priests actively tend to its presence. No vibrant festivals honor its enigmatic gaze. No inscriptions explicitly mark its purpose. No vibrant festivals honor its enigmatic gaze. No inscriptions explicitly mark its purpose. This is not the iconic monument we know today, celebrated as the Sentinel of Giza. It is a neglected relic, ignominiously ignored by the very culture that supposedly carved it under Khafre just 800 years earlier. How could a monument so vast, so undeniably central to Egypt's sacred landscape, be so utterly abandoned to the relentless embrace of the desert? This unsettling question sets the stage for a story that feels more like myth than history, yet is meticulously carved in red granite between the Sphinx's colossal paws. Prince Thutmose, a younger son of Pharaoh Amenhotep II, was unequivocally not destined for the throne. His older brothers stood clearly ahead of him, their divine bloodline seemingly securing their rightful place in Egypt's cosmic order. But one fateful day, during a hunting expedition on the Giza plateau, Thutmose sought respite in the shade of the Sphinx's largely buried form. Exhausted, he succumbed to sleep between its immense paws, where the sand had piled high, effectively hiding the lion's body from the world. What transpired next is meticulously etched into the dream stela, a monument still standing today, its words a testament to a pivotal moment that irrevocably altered a prince's fate. In his slumber the Sphinx spoke. It identified itself as Hor-Aherketi, the horizon god, the majestic guardian of the dawn. Its voice was not triumphant, but profoundly plaintive, heavy with centuries of neglect. It lamented the sand filling its throat, choking its spirit, of being utterly forgotten by the people who once revered it. The Sphinx had watched the sun majestically rise alone, day after relentless day, devoid of offerings, of priests, of any acknowledgement of its sacred vigil. The god offered Thutmose a profound bargain, simple yet utterly transformative. If the prince would diligently clear the encroaching sand from its body, meticulously restore the temples that had crumbled, and revive the sacred rituals that had faded, the throne of Egypt would be his, not as a mere prize for ambition, but as a solemn duty born of profound service. Thutmose accepted. He immediately rallied workers, cleared tons of accumulated sand, and triumphantly revealed the Sphinx's full form for the first time in generations. He offered gold, incense, and fervent prayers, establishing a new priesthood to perpetually maintain its worship. Within months, through a series of inexplicable events that no records fully explain, Thutmose became Pharaoh Thutmose IV, ruler of a kingdom he was never meant to lead. The dream stela, erected to commemorate this pivotal moment, stands as an enduring testament to his divine encounter, a powerful story of a forgotten god reclaiming its rightful place through a prince's devotion. But this tale is far more than mere royal propaganda. It represents a profound fracture in Egypt's meticulously preserved timeline, a revealing crack that exposes how deeply the Sphinx had been tragically erased from memory. If it was indeed carved by Khafre, as we are consistently told, only 800 years separate his reign from Thutmose's. Egypt was a civilization utterly obsessed with continuity, meticulously recording its kings, mapping its tombs, preserving its gods in enduring stone and fragile papyrus. The 18th dynasty possessed detailed records of rulers from over 1,000 years past, their names and deeds painstakingly preserved. Yet the Sphinx, a monumental structure situated directly beside the Great Pyramid, had no active cult, no dedicated priesthood, no designated place in the religious calendar. It had become effectively invisible, buried not just in sand, but in the profound collective forgetting of a culture that should have cherished it. How could something so monumental, so intricately tied to Egypt's divine order, simply slip through the cracks of memory? The Dream Stela's language further adds to the profound mystery. It is not a triumphant declaration of a pharaoh's glory, as most royal inscriptions are. It is strikingly intimate, almost personal, vividly describing the Sphinx's suffering, the sand in its throat, its voice muffled, its profound purpose unfulfilled. The god speaks of loneliness, of centuries spent watching the horizon without acknowledgement. This is decidedly not the tone of formulaic propaganda designed to inflate a ruler's ego. It feels like a genuine encounter, a pivotal moment when a prince stumbled upon something ancient and abandoned, something that desperately demanded to be remembered. The stela meticulously details the excavation process, the quality of the sand, the inherent difficulty of clearing it, the precise condition of the stone after centuries of burial. These specifics, mundane yet vividly precise, are unusually detailed for royal inscriptions, which typically focus on divine favor, not logistical challenges. They powerfully suggest a truth too real to be entirely invented. And yet, there's a distinct shadow cast over the stela itself. Its upper third, precisely where the builder of the Sphinx might have been explicitly named, is conspicuously missing. The break is clean, not weathered by time, but severed, possibly in antiquity, as if someone deliberately sought to erase a critical piece of the story. What remains unequivocally supports Thutmose's claim to the throne. A divine bargain, a successful excavation, a political miracle, but the profound absence of the builder's identity feels meticulously calculated, ensuring the narrative serves the present without ever challenging the past. Egyptologists frequently dismiss the stela as mere propaganda, a convenient myth to justify an unexpected royal succession. But this explanation falters. For the story to function effectively as propaganda, the Sphinx must already have been forgotten, its profound significance tragically lost to the very people who supposedly built it. Why would Thutmose stake his very legitimacy on a monument no one remembered, unless it held a power far older than his dynasty? This brings us to a deeper, more unsettling question. If the Sphinx was indeed forgotten by the 18th dynasty, what does that profoundly say about its true origins? In Mesopotamia, texts like the Epic of Gilgamesh describe ancient cities and structures attributed to gods or heroes from a distant past, their true builders shrouded in myth. Could the Sphinx belong to a similar profound tradition, a colossal relic from an era predating Egypt's kings, revered yet ultimately unclaimed? The stela's reference to Hora-Hekati, the horizon god, intrinsically ties the Sphinx to the sun cycle, a universal profound symbol that predates even Egyptian religion. Perhaps it was a sacred site long before the pharaohs, its purpose so profound that even they could only honor, not create. The Dream Stela's profound silence about the Sphinx's builder mirrors the very silence of the monument itself. No inscriptions mark its colossal body. No cartouches boldly claim its creation. This absence, much like the pyramids, feels profoundly deliberate, as if the true builders consciously chose anonymity over glory. But why? Were they protecting a sacred secret, a knowledge too hallowed or dangerous to be recorded? Or did they belong to a civilization so distant that their names were already tragically lost when Egypt majestically rose? The Stela powerfully suggests the latter, that the Sphinx was an enigma even to Thutmose, a god that spoke from a time before time, demanding remembrance from a prince who simply stumbled into its majestic presence. As we drift deeper into this enigma, the dream stela becomes a profound mirror, reflecting our own persistent questions. It tells us that the Sphinx, now an iconic landmark, was once tragically forgotten, buried by layers of sand and collective neglect. It tells us that a prince heard its voice, not in triumph, but in profound desperation, a heartfelt plea to be freed from oblivion. And it tells us that Egypt, for all its meticulous records and elaborate rituals, could fundamentally lose track of its greatest monument. As you sink towards sleep, imagine lying between the Sphinx's massive paws, the sand warm beneath you, its ancient stone face gazing at a horizon older than memory. The dream stela is not just a story of a king, it's a cry from a god that was lost, and a question that eternally lingers: what else have we forgotten, and who made sure we did? We descend beneath the Giza plateau, into a world of hidden chambers and forgotten passages, where the earth itself guards secrets older than the monumental structures above. What truly lies below the pyramids and the Sphinx? A vast network of tunnels, voids and rooms that hint at a profound purpose far beyond mere tombs, a purpose that someone somewhere has relentlessly worked to keep hidden. Lie back, let the desert silence envelop you, and follow me into the shadows beneath Giza. The Giza Plateau is more than merely a collection of stone giants standing stoically under the desert sun. Beneath its surface lies a labyrinth, a subterranean realm that utterly defies everything we've been taught about ancient Egypt. For over a century, explorers have meticulously reported strange discoveries beneath the pyramids and the Sphinx, cavities too regular to be natural, passages too precise to be mere tomb shafts, chambers that seem to belong to an intricate design we cannot yet name. These findings, painstakingly documented in dusty journals and half-forgotten maps, paint a compelling picture of a plateau that is fundamentally hollow, a complex network of spaces meticulously carved with deliberate intent, yet diligently hidden from the world above. Yet whenever these profound discoveries surface, they mysteriously vanish. One of the most extensively documented of these underground features is the Osiris Shaft, strategically located near the causeway of Khafre's pyramid. This vertical tunnel plunges over 30 meters deep into the solid limestone bedrock, a descent that feels more like a perilous journey to another world than a simple tomb. The shaft is meticulously divided into 3 distinct levels, each more mysterious than the last. The upper chamber is small, accessible only by a narrow passage that demands specialized equipment to navigate. The second level is perpetually flooded with groundwater, a murky, impenetrable barrier that has consistently thwarted thorough exploration, yet inadvertently preserved whatever lies below. The third level, the deepest of all, opens into a large, enigmatic room featuring 6 side niches, carved with a breathtaking precision that rivals the stonework of the colossal pyramids above. At its very center sits an austere stone box, often referred to as a sarcophagus, but it tells a strikingly different story. There are no stains of decomposition, no traces of mummification, no discernible signs it ever held a body. The chamber's walls, smooth and utterly unadorned, bear tool marks so remarkably consistent they powerfully suggest a single highly skilled team meticulously at work. The acoustics are uncanny. Whispers carry with startling clarity, while louder sounds seem curiously muffled, as if the space was deliberately designed to shape sound itself. This is no ordinary tomb. Egyptian burials, even for minor nobles, were typically filled with inscriptions, offerings, and relics to guide the soul. The Osiris Shaft has none of these, just profound silence, astonishing precision, and a purpose we cannot name. Some theorize it is a symbolic tomb for Osiris, the god of the underworld, tied to later dynasties, but its immense depth, its intricate craftsmanship, and its profound emptiness feel far older, far stranger, as if it belongs to a time before Egypt's gods were even born. The shaft is closed to the public, rarely studied, and barely mentioned in official records. Why, if it's merely an empty chamber, the pervasive secrecy? The answer lies not in what it contains, but in what it profoundly suggests about the plateau's deeper, hidden strata. The Osiris shaft is merely one piece of a much larger, intricate puzzle. In the 19th century, pioneering explorers like Ernest Alfred Wallace Budge described extensive subterranean chambers beneath Giza, extending far beyond what any conventional tomb would require. Budge, a renowned British Egyptologist, wrote of passages and cavities that felt too deliberate to be natural, too extensive to serve a single burial. During Napoleon's expedition in 1798, scholars meticulously mapped a complex network of underground spaces, corridors, stairways, and rooms that intricately connected the pyramids and the Sphinx in ways that strongly hinted at a coordinated, overarching design. These maps, meticulously drawn before modern tourism drastically altered the site, display features that no longer appear on official plans. Some passages were found filled with rubble, as if deliberately sealed. Others were remarkably clean, as if maintained long after their initial creation. These detailed and precise reports were subsequently dismissed as mere exaggerations by colonial adventurers who supposedly didn't truly comprehend what they saw. But the maps themselves still exist, tucked away in dusty archives, whispering of a Giza. In 1926, Herbert Eustace Winlock, an American archaeologist, wrote compellingly of catacombs beneath the plateau, chambers with elaborately carved walls, stairways descending deeper than any tomb required, and passages that meticulously followed geometric patterns rather than the irregular sprawl of natural caves. These descriptions powerfully suggest something far more profound than simple burial sites. An infrastructure, a vast foundation designed for a purpose we cannot yet grasp. Yet no museum displays models of these spaces. No textbooks teach their existence. The academic world labels them as mere fissures, unfinished shafts, or simply errors of early explorers. But the astonishing consistency of these accounts, spanning decades and cultures, makes such dismissal feel. The most compelling evidence emerged in 2008, when Egyptian researchers utilized ground-penetrating radar to meticulously map the subsurface of the Giza plateau. Their scans revealed an intricate network of voids, tunnels and chambers stretching deep beneath the pyramids and the Sphinx. Some findings strikingly matched the old maps from Napoleon's team, unequivocally confirming that early explorers had indeed observed real structures, not illusions. Others were entirely new, large geometric cavities that could not possibly be explained by natural erosion. Beneath the Sphinx, they detected spaces with remarkably regular shapes, strongly suggesting artificial construction. Beneath the Great Pyramid, they identified chambers utterly unconnected to known passages, hinting at a separate, older phase of building. Photographs from, and then the doors abruptly closed. The Egyptian authorities, through the Supreme Council of Antiquities, declared there is nothing there, no explanation for the photographs, no acknowledgement of the radar data, no reference to the historical maps. Access was immediately revoked. The findings were buried in bureaucratic silence. Journalists who pressed for answers were met with blank denials. Tunnels documented, measured, and even entered were sealed once again. This is not an isolated incident. In the 1930s, an excavation beneath the Sphinx reportedly uncovered a chamber between its pores, described by workers as artificially constructed. It was quickly backfilled, and no official report was ever published. Later radar scans unequivocally confirmed a hollow space in the exact same location, yet independent researchers were strictly barred from investigating. The official stance remains unwavering. Nothing lies beneath Giza that matters. But when compelling evidence is photographed, meticulously mapped, and then arbitrarily declared irrelevant, that is not archaeology, it is erasure. This disturbing pattern of concealment raises a haunting question. What lies beneath Giza that is so profoundly threatening it must be hidden at all costs? The underground network powerfully suggests a purpose far beyond mere tombs. Perhaps it was a foundational infrastructure for the entire plateau, constructed before the pyramids ever rose. The Osiris shaft's unique acoustics, the geometric precision of the mapped voids, and the clean cuts of buried passages all point to an engineered system designed for a function we simply do not understand. Some speculate it was a ritual space, perhaps meant to amplify sound or energy, much like the resonance chambers found in ancient sites such as Malta's Hypogeum, where specific sound frequencies reportedly induced trance-like states. Others propose it was a vast storage system, not for treasure. The most unsettling possibility is that these chambers predate the pharaohs entirely. If the Sphinx, with its profound water erosion, hails from an era 7,000 years ago, could this intricate network belong to the same enigmatic builders? A civilization that meticulously reshaped the very bedrock, carving out spaces designed to endure a catastrophe they somehow foresaw. The construction techniques, the smooth walls, the precise angles, do not always align with known Egyptian methods. Some tool marks suggest advanced tools or methods utterly unknown to the Old Kingdom, hinting at a technology tragically lost to history. The flooded second level of the Osiris shaft, remarkably preserved by water, might hold crucial clues, untouched by the ravages of time, yet it remains off-limits. This brings us to a darker truth. The systematic suppression of these discoveries feels undeniably deliberate, as if the underground network profoundly threatens the accepted narrative of Egyptian history. If Giza was indeed built upon an older, hidden foundation, if its chambers were meticulously carved by a people predating the pharaohs, it completely upends the timeline of human civilization. It compellingly suggests that the Egyptians were not the originators of their greatest wonders, but rather inheritors, claiming a legacy they simply could not replicate. The authorities' persistent refusal to explore further, their swift dismissal of irrefutable evidence, mirrors a pattern seen elsewhere. Ancient texts lost in fires, precious inscriptions deliberately destroyed in earthquakes, profound discoveries silenced by institutional power. Why? What could be so dangerous about a few tunnels and chambers? Perhaps it is not the physical spaces themselves, but what they profoundly represent: a fundamental chapter of history we are not yet ready to read, a civilization we are unequivocally not supposed to remember. As you sink towards sleep, picture yourself descending the Osiris shaft, the stone cool under your touch, the air thick with the immense weight of ages. The chambers beneath Giza are not just voids, they are profound questions, meticulously carved in bedrock, patiently waiting for answers. They speak eloquently of a time before kings, before gods, when the plateau was shaped for a purpose we can only dimly guess. The network beneath the pyramids is a vast map of the forgotten, a sprawling labyrinth where memory itself lies buried, patiently waiting for someone brave enough to follow its hidden paths. In 1993, a small wheeled robot named Upuot, meaning opener of the ways, after an ancient Egyptian god, made history. Built by German engineer Rudolf Gantenbrink, it was sent into the Great Pyramid to meticulously inspect its narrow air shafts, passages far too small for humans to enter. These shafts, extending from the Queen's chamber, were long thought to be merely symbolic, perhaps aligned with stars or meant for the pharaoh's soul to ascend. They slope upward at steep angles, barely 20 centimeters wide, their walls polished to a profound smoothness that defies ancient tools. Gantenbrink's initial mission was purely practical, to improve ventilation and accurately map the shafts. But what Upuot and Tu ultimately discovered was anything but routine. As it meticulously climbed the southern shaft, over 60 meters long, its camera beamed back images that stunned the world. There at the end was a stone door, perfectly fitted, with 2 enigmatic copper pins protruding like silent sentinels. This was no mere collapse, no rough end to a passage, but a deliberate barrier, sealed for millennia, clearly hiding something the pyramid's builders explicitly did not want found. The footage was mesmerizing. The shaft's walls, untouched by the ravages of time, gleamed with precision, their massive limestone blocks joined so tightly that no mortar was even needed. The angles never wavered. The surfaces displayed no visible tool marks, as if carved by a method we simply cannot explain. Then at the very end the door appeared, a smooth rectangular slab, its copper pins glinting mysteriously under the robot's light. These pins were not hinges or handles. They were far too small, too awkwardly placed for any conventional mechanical purpose. Were they symbolic markers of a sacred boundary, or something else entirely? The discovery sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. Here was irrefutable proof of hidden spaces within the pyramid, spaces sealed since its very creation, fundamentally challenging the long-held idea that every chamber had already been mapped. The world watched, breathless, as headlines proclaimed a new era of exploration. Could this enigmatic door lead to a lost chamber, a vast repository of ancient knowledge, or something even stranger? But the excitement was short-lived. Brink's contract was abruptly terminated by Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. His access to the pyramid was immediately revoked. His groundbreaking research was halted without explanation. The official reason provided was that he had exceeded his mandate, which was supposedly limited to ventilation, not exploration. Yet the door was discovered during a legitimate shaft inspection, and stopping the investigation at the very moment of breakthrough felt like far more than mere bureaucracy. It felt like deliberate suppression. The initial media frenzy faded, and the door remained sealed, its profound secrets untouched. Why? What could possibly lie behind a simple slab of stone that warranted such swift and decisive silencing? The question lingered, unanswered, for nearly a decade. In 2002, a new team was eventually granted access. Armed with a more advanced robot, the Pyramid rover, equipped with sophisticated cameras, drills, and fiber-optic technology, the world tuned in once again, eagerly expecting answers after years of profound silence. Live broadcasts promised to reveal what lay beyond the mysterious door. The robot navigated the same southern shaft, its cameras capturing the same flawless stonework, until it reached the door with its copper pins. With painstaking care, it drilled a small hole through the slab, a laborious process that revealed the stone's incredible hardness, as if meticulously designed to resist intrusion. A fiber-optic camera was then inserted, and the world collectively held its breath, anticipating immense treasures, profound inscriptions, or a glimpse into the very heart of the pyramid. What the camera ultimately showed was another chamber, empty, precise, and profoundly silent, with a second stone door on the far wall. No hieroglyphs, no artifacts, just more stone, more mystery, and another formidable barrier. This discovery only deepened the profound enigma. Why construct a shaft too narrow for humans, leading to a sealed door, only to meticulously hide another door behind it? The chamber's walls were as smooth as the shafts, its construction as meticulous, powerfully suggesting a purpose beyond mere decoration or ritual. The copper pins, deliberately hammered flat, seemed to mark the first door as significant, perhaps a solemn warning or a profound symbol of something sacred. Something sacred, but the second door, identical in its profound silence, hinted at a design explicitly meant to delay, to confound, to protect something not meant to be easily reached. The live broadcast ended, the press cycle faded, and no further expeditions were launched. The second door remains unopened, its secrets still locked away, and the official narrative swiftly returned to silence. Some claimed the mystery was solved, the shafts were symbolic, the doors meaningless, the chamber empty. But emptiness is not absence. It is a choice, a design, a profound statement carved in enduring stone. The implications are profound. The shafts and doors powerfully suggest the Great Pyramid hides spaces we have never seen, built with a precision that fundamentally challenges our understanding of ancient technology. The shafts maintain exact alignments over 60 meters, their angles never deviating, their surfaces flawless. This is not the work of crude tools or hasty construction. It is the product of an architectural vision that meticulously planned every single detail. The copper pins, made of a metal sacred to Egyptian religion and explicitly associated with the gods and divine power, add yet another layer of mystery. Copper was rare and exceedingly difficult to work with in ancient times. Why place it in a passage no one could enter? Some speculate the pins are markers, not for physically opening the door, but for signaling its profound import, a sacred boundary not to be crossed, a profound secret not to be casually revealed. This brings us to a bold hypothesis. The doors might very well lead to the fabled Hall of Records, a chamber compellingly described by the mystic Edgar Cayce in the early 20th century. Cayce claimed that deep beneath the Sphinx and intricately within the pyramid lies a vast repository of knowledge from a lost civilization, possibly Atlantis, containing ancient texts, sophisticated tools, or even advanced technologies that could entirely rewrite history. The radar anomalies beneath the Sphinx, detected in the 1980s and again in the 2000s, strongly support the idea of hidden spaces, and the pyramid shafts could plausibly connect to this intricate network. The doors, sealed with such meticulous care, might protect this invaluable archive, meant only for a time or a people truly ready to understand its profound contents. The copper pins, profoundly symbolic of divine connection, could mark the threshold to this sacred knowledge, a test of wisdom rather than brute force. But why abruptly stop the exploration? The swift silencing of Gantenbrink and the immediate halt after the pyramid rover's discovery suggest far more than mere caution. It suggests fear. The Egyptian authorities, actively backed by powerful institutions like the Supreme Council of Antiquities, have consistently blocked access to sensitive sites. Is it truly about preserving the monuments, or about meticulously preserving a carefully constructed narrative? If the doors lead to irrefutable evidence of a civilization dramatically predating Egypt, one possessing advanced technology or profound knowledge, it would unequivocally unravel the entire timeline of human history. The pyramid, currently credited to Khufu, would then become a mere relic of an older lost world, and Egyptology's very foundation would utterly crumble. This existential threat might precisely explain the persistent pattern of denial: tunnels sealed, radar data dismissed, researchers abruptly turned away. It is as if the profound truth behind the doors is simply too dangerous to confront. This pattern is not unique to Giza. In Mesoamerica, excavations at Teotihuacan uncovered tunnels beneath the Pyramid of the Sun, sealed for centuries. Yet exploration was severely limited by official restrictions. In Turkey, the ancient site of Göbekli Tepe, dating back an astonishing 12,000 years, faced prolonged delays in study, its implications for early civilization deemed too disruptive to embrace quickly. The doors in the Great Pyramid perfectly fit this mold. Discoveries that fundamentally challenge the accepted story of human progress are consistently met with profound silence, not scientific inquiry. Could there be a global effort, ancient or modern, to keep certain truths perpetually hidden? Some even whisper of extraterrestrial involvement, suggesting the pyramid's extraordinary precision and hidden chambers point to alien architects, a theory popularized by Erich von Däniken. While speculative, it powerfully underscores the central question: why build something so complex, so inaccessible, unless it was precisely meant to remain an enduring mystery? Picture Cairo in the late 1800s, a city alive with the fever of discovery. European collectors, scholars, and adventurers scoured Egypt's bustling markets and quiet monasteries, hungry for relics of its ancient past. The 19th century was the golden age of Egyptomania, when every artifact, every papyrus, promised to unlock the profound secrets of a civilization that had captivated the world. In a quiet Coptic monastery, tucked away from the clamor of Cairo's streets, a collector, perhaps Austrian, perhaps French, met an elderly monk, the venerable keeper of a small bundle of ancient manuscripts. These were no ordinary texts. Coptic monasteries for centuries had served as sacred sanctuaries of knowledge, meticulously preserving fragments of early Christian and pre-Islamic writings through countless wars, invasions, and time's relentless march. The monk claimed his collection held treasures passed down for generations, texts that had miraculously survived when empires fell, copied and recopied by devoted hands that revered their immense weight. Among these manuscripts was a scroll that stood apart, written in Sahidic Coptic, a dialect of Egypt's early Christian era. It was laced with older, unfamiliar phrases the monk himself could not read, tantalizing hints of a language predating even the Coptic tongue. The scroll's contents, as partially described to the collector, were staggering. It spoke of a land along the Nile before its modern course, before the river's great bend, before the delta fully formed. It described 3 great beacons of stone, not explicitly named as pyramids, but as structures precisely aligned to the stars, sealed not as tombs, but as vast vaults of memory. The text called them ancient, built before language, before the Nile changed its path, before the kings of Egypt majestically rose to power. When the collector pressed for deeper meaning, the monk's words were cryptic. They were built before words, before the river knew its place. This was no mere myth of pharaohs or gods. It was a profound glimpse into a time before history as we know it. The collector purchased the scroll along with others, and eagerly transported it to Europe, where Orientalist scholars patiently waited to decipher its profound secrets. The 19th century was an era of meticulous scholarly study, with universities and museums investing heavily in translating ancient texts. Linguists would have pored over the Coptic script, historians would have cross-referenced it with known sources, and archaeologists would have desperately sought to match its descriptions to physical sites. The scroll promised to be a Rosetta Stone of sorts, a crucial key to unlocking a chapter of human history we have simply never read. Its mention of the pyramids as beacons and vaults of memory strongly suggested they were not tombs, but something else entirely, perhaps vast repositories of knowledge, meticulously built to survive a looming catastrophe that ultimately erased their enigmatic creators. If true, this text could have shattered the established timeline of Egyptian civilization, placing the pyramids in a prehistoric era, intrinsically tied to a people we have never named. But before a single word could be fully translated, tragedy struck, or so we are told. The details are maddeningly vague. Some accounts claim a devastating fire consumed the collector's private study, reducing the invaluable scroll to ash. Others assert it was an archive building, perhaps in Vienna or Lyon, where the manuscript was stored. The very uncertainty itself is suspicious, as if the story was deliberately crafted to blur into obscurity. What we undeniably know is this: the scroll was irrevocably lost, along with much of the collector's precious collection, in a blaze that left no copies, no photographs, no detailed notes. This was no ordinary loss. In the 19th century, scholars profoundly understood the fragility of ancient texts. Important manuscripts were routinely copied, meticulously sketched, or thoroughly described to prevent such catastrophic disasters. The Nag Hammadi Library, another priceless Coptic treasure, miraculously survived precisely because of such diligent care. Yet this scroll, potentially the most significant find of its time, vanished without a trace, leaving only a second-hand letter quoting the monk's cryptic words about the Nile and the beacons. This disappearance feels far too convenient, too perfectly timed. A text that might have definitively placed the pyramids before language, before Egypt, was mysteriously destroyed just as it reached the hands of those who possessed the ability to read it. The letter, the sole surviving reference, offers no details beyond the monk's claim, as if the scroll's very existence was intended to be a mere whisper, not a profound shout. Historians often dismiss the story as a misunderstanding, suggesting the scroll, if it even existed, was a late Gnostic fable, a symbolic retelling of Egypt's mythic past. They point to the prevalent 19th century trade in fake relics, where opportunistic locals sold forged artifacts to eager European collectors. But this explanation feels like containment, a convenient way to tuck an uncomfortable possibility out of sight. If the scroll was a fake, why meticulously destroy it before its authenticity could be rigorously tested? Why ensure that no scholar, no linguist, could ever examine its words. The scroll's loss fits a disturbing persistent pattern. Across recorded history, texts that fundamentally challenge established narratives consistently have a habit of mysteriously disappearing. In the 1700s, French scholars reported an inscription near Aswan listing kings predating Menes, the supposed first pharaoh of Egypt. It could have extended Egypt's chronology by thousands of years, but the wall tragically collapsed in an earthquake, its rubbings lost, the site never re-excavated. In the early 20th century, a German linguist claimed to have translated a Nubian papyrus mentioning stones of resonance west of the Nile, only to die abruptly in World War I, his crucial notes scattered. Each incident, taken alone, seems like mere misfortune, but collectively, they powerfully suggest a design, an invisible hand, ensuring that certain profound truths never survive long enough to be truly heard. The Coptic scroll, with its talk of pyramids before language, fits this mold perfectly. It wasn't lost to time's natural decay, but to a fire that burned at the exact moment it might have spoken too much. What makes the scroll so haunting is what it might have said. If it described the pyramids as vaults of memory built before the Nile's modern course, it profoundly aligns with other tantalizing clues we've uncovered. The Sphinx's water erosion points to a time 7,000 years ago, when torrential rains fell on a green Sahara. The Great Pyramid's intricate mathematical code suggest a profound knowledge of Earth's dimensions and cosmic cycles. The underground network beneath Giza hints at an infrastructure far older than the pharaohs. The scroll could have intricately tied these disparate threads together, naming a civilization that built Giza's wonders before Egypt even existed. A civilization that sealed its profound knowledge in enduring stone, knowing its world was tragically fading. The monk's words, "before the Nile changed," are particularly chilling. Geological records unequivocally confirm the Nile's course shifted over millennia, its delta forming around 4000 BCE. If the scroll accurately dated the pyramids to this earlier era, it would place them firmly in a prehistoric world, fundamentally challenging our entire understanding of human progress. This brings us to a darker question: who possessed the power to destroy such a text, and why? The fire was not an act of war or conquest. Like the infamous burning of the Library of Alexandria or the deliberate destruction of Maya codices by Spanish conquistadors, it happened in peacetime, in the hands of a collector who had every conceivable reason to preserve it. Was it a mere accident, or was it deliberately erased to protect a carefully constructed narrative? If the scroll proved the pyramids predated Egypt, it would unequivocally unravel the myth of pharaonic creation, powerfully suggesting the Egyptians were inheritors, not originators. It would compel us to fundamentally rethink the origins of monumental architecture, the precise spread of advanced knowledge, and the startling possibility of a lost civilization, perhaps Atlantis, as Plato described, or another advanced culture entirely erased by catastrophe. Such a profound truth might have been deemed too dangerous, not for national security, but for the very stories we tell about our place in history. As you drift towards sleep, imagine holding that fragile scroll, its ancient ink fading under your touch, its cryptic words hinting at a world before words. The Coptic scroll is gone, but its profound absence speaks louder than its text ever could. It's a chilling reminder that some truths are too vast to be openly kept, too fragile to survive the flames of time, or the hands that light them. The scroll burned, but its echo lingers, a whisper of a time when the pyramids stood before kings, before language, before the Nile carved its path, patiently waiting for us to remember what was never meant to be forgotten. The Giza Plateau is a monument to human ingenuity, or so we're told. The Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, the surrounding temples, all credited to the Fourth Dynasty, a testament to Egypt's golden age. Yet, every clue we've explored points to a different story. Water erosion suggesting a prehistoric origin, mathematical codes too advanced for their time, empty chambers that defy burial traditions, and texts like the Inventory Stela and Dream Stela that describe restoration, not creation. Beneath the plateau, a hidden network of tunnels and voids hints at an older purpose. While robots uncover sealed doors that no one is allowed to open, a scroll speaking of pyramids before language vanishes in flames. Each discovery, each anomaly is consistently met with the same response: dismissal, denial, or outright erasure. This isn't random, it's a pattern, a deliberate effort to control what we know about Giza. And it raises a chilling question: what truth is so dangerous that it must be hidden at all costs? The heart of this concealment lies with Egyptology itself, a field built on rigorous study, but also on rigid, often unyielding narratives. The accepted timeline places the Great Pyramid and Sphinx firmly in the 4th dynasty, around 2580 BCE, meticulously constructed by Khufu and Khafre, with rudimentary copper tools and immense human labor. This story is neat, logical, and comforting. It fits perfectly into our linear understanding of human progress, a steady upward climb from primitive to civilized. But when compelling evidence directly challenges this timeline, it's not met with open curiosity, but with staunch resistance. The Inventory Stela, which powerfully suggests Khufu merely restored the Sphinx, is tucked away in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, rarely displayed, and summarily dismissed as late-period propaganda from the 26th dynasty. The Dream Stela, recounting Thutmose IV's divine encounter, is conveniently labeled a political myth, its profound implications utterly ignored. The unequivocal water erosion on the Sphinx, pointing to a time 7,000 years ago, is brushed off as the work of wind or groundwater, despite overwhelming geological evidence to the contrary. Why? Why does every anomaly consistently face the same fate: buried, discredited, or conveniently forgotten? This persistent pattern of dismissal is precisely what scholars term intellectual gatekeeping. Egyptology, like any established academic field, fiercely guards its foundational tenets. The timeline of the Old Kingdom is a sacred cornerstone, meticulously constructed on decades of research, carbon dating, and artifacts like the Diary of Mera, which describes limestone transport for Khufu's pyramid. To admit that Giza's monuments might profoundly predate Egypt, or that they were constructed by a lost civilization possessing advanced knowledge, would unequivocally unravel this entire foundation. It would necessitate a complete rewrite of not just Egyptian history, but human history itself, powerfully suggesting that sophisticated societies existed thousands of years before we believed possible. Such a seismic shift would inevitably challenge careers, reputations, and the very authority of institutions like the Supreme Council of Antiquities, which stringently oversees Egypt's archaeological sites. The stakes are undeniably higher, not just for science, but for entrenched power structures. Consider the treatment of the underground network beneath Giza. In 2008, ground-penetrating radar undeniably revealed a complex of chambers, tunnels, and voids, some strikingly matching 19th-century reports by intrepid explorers like Wallace Budge and Napoleon's team. These spaces, with their precise cuts and geometric patterns, powerfully suggest a purpose far beyond mere tombs, infrastructure perhaps, for a civilization we do not know. Yet the Egyptian authorities declared, with unwavering certainty, there is nothing there. Photographs of carved passages, radar scans clearly showing artificial cavities, and historical maps were conveniently ignored or actively suppressed. Access was summarily revoked, researchers abruptly turned away, and the findings vanished from public discourse. This echoes earlier incidents. A 1930s excavation beneath the Sphinx reportedly uncovered a chamber, only to be hastily backfilled without proper study. Rudolf Gantenbrink's robot, Upuot 2, was abruptly halted after finding a sealed door in 1993. The Pyramid rover's 2002 discovery of another door led to no further exploration. Each time the door to profound discovery slammed shut. This isn't simply about protecting artifacts from potential damage. The Supreme Council of Antiquities, actively backed by the Egyptian government, controls access to Giza with an iron grip. Excavations require permits, substantial funding, and official approval often inextricably tied to political and economic interests. Tourism is Egypt's lifeblood, and the captivating narrative of Giza as a pharaonic achievement drives millions of visitors each year. A story of a lost civilization, of pyramids dramatically predating Egypt, could severely disrupt this industry, casting profound doubt on the nation's cultural heritage. But the conspiracy, some speculate, runs even deeper. Some suggest that powerful global institutions like UNESCO, which funds and regulates archaeological sites, possess a vested interest in meticulously maintaining the status quo. A discovery that fundamentally rewrites history could destabilize not just Egyptology, but our entire understanding of human progress, challenging the neat, linear narrative of civilization's steady rise. And then there's a stranger, more provocative possibility, one whispered in the fringes of speculation. Could the concealment involve forces beyond mere academia or government? The extraordinary precision of the Great Pyramid, its meticulous alignment with Orion's belt, its astonishing encoding of mathematical constants like pi and phi, these profound anomalies have fueled theories of extraterrestrial influence, popularized by authors like Erich von Däniken. If Giza's monuments were constructed with otherworldly knowledge, or if the underground chambers hold irrefutable evidence of advanced technology, revealing them could upend far more than history books. It could fundamentally challenge our place in the cosmos, powerfully suggesting contact with beings we are simply not ready to acknowledge. While this idea undeniably stretches credulity, it profoundly underscores the immense stakes. A truth that fundamentally alters our understanding of humanity's past might simply be too disruptive to be allowed into the glaring light. The pattern of erasure extends far beyond Giza. In Mesopotamia, cuneiform tablets describing pre-flood civilizations were routinely dismissed as myths until groundbreaking excavations like Göbekli Tepe, dating back an astonishing 12,000 years, proved otherwise. In Mesoamerica, the Maya codices were tragically burned by Spanish conquistadors, deliberately erasing knowledge that might have rivaled European science. The Coptic scroll describing pyramids before language perfectly fits this mold, a vital text that could have shattered Egyptology, lost in a suspiciously timed fire. These incidents, spread across centuries and continents, strongly suggest a systematic effort to control precisely what we know about our origins. It's not about destroying every single trace, but about meticulously managing information, ensuring that only the right story ultimately survives. The Inventory Stela is hidden in a museum. The underground chambers are sealed. The robots are stopped, each act a deliberate brick in a colossal wall of silence. This conspiracy of concealment isn't just about power, it's about profound fear. If Giza's monuments were built by a civilization predating Egypt, one possessing knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering far beyond our current assumptions, it forces us to confront the inherent fragility of our own grand narrative. The pharaohs, revered as living gods, become mere caretakers, their divine authority a borrowed mantle. The timeline of human progress, so carefully constructed, becomes a lie, revealing gaping voids where advanced societies might have majestically risen and tragically fallen, their monumental achievements buried by catastrophe or deliberate design. The institutions that guard Giza, Egypt's government, global organizations, even the academic world, may fear not just the truth, but its far-reaching implications, that we are not the pinnacle of history, but merely a fleeting chapter in a cyclical pattern of profound forgetting and astounding rediscovery. As you sink towards sleep, imagine standing before the Great Pyramid, its immense stones gleaming under the stars, its profound secrets locked away in chambers and scrolls we may never see. The conspiracy of concealment is not a single act, but a vast shadow cast across centuries, a steadfast refusal to let certain truths breathe. The stelae, the tunnels, the doors, the burned manuscript, they all collectively point to a Giza that belongs to a time before Egypt, a time we are unequivocally not supposed to know. The gatekeepers may lock the doors, but the stones themselves still whisper, and their voices grow louder in the profound silence of the night, urgently urging us to ask, what are they so afraid we'll find? We confront the heart of the mystery, the technology behind the Great Pyramid. A marvel of precision so advanced it challenges everything we believe about ancient capabilities. Was this the work of mere copper tools and human labor, or something far beyond our comprehension? Lie back, let the desert's whispers surround you, and listen as we explore a technology that seems to belong to another world. The internal passages, the descending passage, the grand gallery, the king's chamber, are constructed with such exacting precision that joints are invisible, angles unwavering, and stability unyielding after 4,500 years. We're told this was the work of Pharaoh Khufu's fourth dynasty, around 2580 BCE, using simple ropes, ramps, and copper chisels. But the deeper we look, the more implausible this explanation becomes, as if the pyramid was built with tools and knowledge we simply cannot explain. Tools that feel utterly alien to the time we assign them. Consider the sheer monumental scale of the task. The Great Pyramid contains enough stone to build a wall around a small country, with blocks cut from quarries sometimes hundreds of miles away. The granite in the king's chamber, sourced from Aswan, an astonishing 800 kilometers south, was shaped with a precision that leaves no gap for even a sheet of paper. Modern experiments unequivocally show that copper tools, the best available to the Egyptians, struggle immensely to cut limestone, let alone granite, which ranks among the hardest stones known. To achieve the pyramid's flawlessly smooth surfaces and impossibly tight joints, workers would have needed tools of exceptional durability, perhaps bronze or iron, neither of which existed in significant use during the Old Kingdom. The logistics are equally daunting. Moving a 15-ton block across unforgiving desert terrain, lifting it hundreds of feet, and then placing it with sub-millimeter accuracy would challenge today's advanced cranes and lasers, yet we are told this was accomplished with crude sleds, wooden rollers, and sheer human muscle, guided by starlight and rudimentary water levels. The precision of the pyramid's alignment raises even more profound questions. Its base is oriented to the cardinal points with an astonishing error of just 0.05 degrees, a feat requiring advanced surveying techniques that remain unexplained. Modern builders, utilizing GPS and satellite navigation, openly struggle to achieve such accuracy on this immense scale. The Egyptians possessed no compasses, no theodolites, yet they aligned a 13-acre structure to true north with near-perfect fidelity. The base is so level that the variation, a mere 2.1 centimeters, implies a mastery of topography that utterly defies the uneven limestone plateau it sits upon. To prepare such an immaculate foundation, workers would have needed to measure and level vast areas with tools we have no record of, coordinating hundreds of laborers with a precision that rivals modern engineering software. The internal passages, like the Grand Gallery with its corbelled ceiling, distribute millions of tons of weight so effectively that the structure has endured countless earthquakes and invasions largely unscathed. This isn't mere trial and error construction, it's the product of an engineering mind that comprehended physics, geometry, and material science on a level we typically associate with the modern era. But it's not just the construction that feels otherworldly. The pyramid's design incorporates knowledge that seems utterly impossible for its time. The air shafts in the king's chamber, narrow and inaccessible, align with Orion's belt and the pole star precisely as they appeared around 2450 BCE, requiring an understanding of stellar motion and the intricate 25,920-year cycle of Earth's axial wobble. The Egyptians tracked the Nile's floods using stars, but no text suggests they calculated such long-term astronomical patterns. The pyramid's dimensions profoundly encode mathematical constants. The perimeter, when divided by the height, yields 2p. The slope embeds the golden ratio, phi. These ratios, precise to within fractions of a percent, powerfully suggest a grasp of advanced mathematics entirely undocumented in Egyptian records, which primarily focus on practical geometry for land measurement, not universal constants. Even more astonishing, multiplying the height by 43,200 approximates the Earth's polar radius, and multiplying the base perimeter by the same factor astonishingly matches the equatorial circumference. This specific scaling factor, 43,200, is no accident. It's intrinsically tied to the precession cycle, implying knowledge of the planet's precise shape and size, concepts not formally understood until centuries later. This level of sophistication invites a radical question. Could the Great Pyramid be the profound product of a technology we've lost, or one we've never even understood? The tools and methods traditionally attributed to the Egyptians, crude copper chisels, wooden ramps, fall dramatically short of explaining the pyramid's astonishing precision. Some researchers propose alternative techniques, such as acoustic levitation or advanced cutting methods, though no direct archaeological evidence currently supports these speculative ideas. In ancient texts from other cultures, we discover echoes of such possibilities. The Sumerian Enuma Elish describes gods shaping the world with tools of divine power, while ancient Indian texts like the Mahabharata mention devices that purportedly move stones with sound or light. Could the pyramid's enigmatic builders have utilized similar methods, now tragically lost when their civilization vanished? The conspicuous absence of tool marks on the pyramid stones, especially in the flawlessly smooth granite of the king's chamber, strongly suggests a technology that worked stone with a finesse far beyond chisels, perhaps advanced abrasives, precision saws, or something we simply cannot yet name. This compelling idea finds powerful parallels in other ancient sites. At Stonehenge, 5,000 years old, massive sarsen stones were moved dozens of miles and erected with precise alignments to the solstices, requiring engineering we still struggle to explain. In Peru, Machu Picchu's stone walls, built by the Inca, feature blocks so tightly fitted that they seem to defy gravity, with no mortar and no visible tool marks. The Baalbek trilithons in Lebanon, weighing up to 800 tons, were cut and placed with a precision that challenges modern cranes even today. Most striking is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a 12,000-year-old complex of carved pillars, some 20 tons, built before agriculture or writing. These sites, much like Giza, strongly suggest a global tradition of advanced construction, a profound knowledge that appeared suddenly and vanished just as quickly. Could the Great Pyramid be part of this intricate network, a remnant of a civilization that spanned continents, leaving its indelible mark in enduring stone before fading into profound oblivion? The most provocative theory ventures even further, suggesting outright extraterrestrial influence. Authors like Erich von Däniken compellingly argue that the pyramid's precision, alignments, and mathematical codes point directly to alien architects or advisors who generously shared advanced technology with early humans. The idea is undeniably fringe, but it gains traction from the pyramid's profound anomalies. How could a culture with no recorded knowledge of calculus or advanced astronomy achieve such astonishing feats? The conspicuous lack of inscriptions, the empty chambers, the precise cosmic alignments, all could be profound signs of a purpose not rooted in transient human ambition, but in a universal message meant for the stars. While speculative, this theory powerfully underscores the vast gap between what we observe and what we can currently explain, forcing us to consider possibilities far beyond our current understanding. A more grounded hypothesis is that the pyramid was a monumental technological marvel, explicitly designed to preserve profound knowledge through cataclysm. Its profound silence, no hieroglyphs, no royal claims, strongly suggests a universal design, intended for any future civilization capable of accurately measuring its proportions. The constants meticulously encoded in its form, pi Earth's dimensions, are timeless, utterly independent of language, culture, or belief. Unlike fragile papyrus or crumbling clay tablets, stone endures, and the pyramid's astonishing resilience proves it was built for geological time, not ephemeral human reigns. Could its enigmatic builders have presciently foreseen a coming disaster, a devastating flood, a radical climate shift, a catastrophic societal collapse, and constructed a monument specifically to safeguard their understanding. The African humid period, ending around 4000 BCE, dramatically transformed the Sahara from a green paradise to an arid desert, displacing entire populations. If the pyramid indeed predates this profound shift, as the Sphinx's erosion compellingly suggests, it might be a luminous beacon from a lost world, deliberately designed to guide future generations back to the fundamental truths they left behind. Picture the Great Pyramid under a starlit sky, its immense stones silent yet alive with profound purpose. Its technology, whether human, divine, or otherworldly, speaks through undeniable precision, not words, a timeless language of angles and alignments that majestically outlasts empires. The builders, whoever they were, left no name, only an enduring challenge, to measure, to question, to wonder. Tonight we chase a legend that has haunted humanity for millennia, the tale of Atlantis, a lost civilization of unparalleled wisdom, said to have vanished in a single cataclysmic night. Could the monuments of Giza be its enduring legacy, a final poignant echo of a people utterly erased by catastrophe? Lie back, let the desert stillness cradle you, and listen as we explore the profound possibility that Giza's wonders were built by a civilization we have tragically forgotten. The story of Atlantis begins with Plato, the illustrious Greek philosopher, who meticulously wrote of it in his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, around 360 BCE. He vividly described a mighty, flourishing civilization 9,000 years before his own time, situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, most likely the Strait of Gibraltar. Atlantis was a true marvel of architecture, engineering, and culture. Its people, masters of navigation, astronomy, and advanced technology, inhabited an island rich with resources, boasting concentric canals, grand temples, and palaces of gleaming precious stone. But their growing hubris, Plato recounted, angered the gods, and in a single cataclysmic day and night, devastating earthquakes and torrential floods swallowed Atlantis whole into the sea, leaving no tangible trace but a poignant story passed down through generations. Plato's account, dismissed by many as mere allegory, has fueled intense speculation for centuries. Could this lost civilization be the crucial key to Giza's profound mysteries? Its monumental structures, a poignant remnant of a world that vanished long before Egypt's majestic rise. The Great Pyramid and Sphinx, with their unsettling anomalies, fit eerily into this narrative. The Sphinx's water erosion, as compellingly proposed by geologist Robert Schoch, points to an era 7,000 to 10,000 years ago, when heavy sustained rains fell on a green Sahara. This time frame remarkably aligns with Plato's timeline for Atlantis, placing its tragic fall around 9,600 BCE, during the profound end of the African humid period, when dramatic climate shifts transformed lush landscapes into arid desert. The pyramid's intricate mathematical codes, pi, phi, and precise earth dimensions, suggest a knowledge of astronomy and geometry far beyond what we traditionally attribute to the Fourth Dynasty. Its astonishing precision, with a base level to within 2.1 centimeters and aligned to true north within 0.05 degrees, implies a technology that severely strains the limits of mere copper tools and human labor. Could these magnificent monuments be the desperate work of Atlantean survivors, fleeing their sinking homeland to construct a lasting testament on the banks of the Nile? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it seems when we cast our gaze beyond Egypt. Across the world, other ancient sites tantalizingly hint at a lost chapter of human history. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to 9,600 BCE, features massive stone pillars, some weighing 20 tons, adorned with intricate reliefs and meticulously aligned with celestial events. Built before agriculture or writing, it fundamentally challenges our conventional view of prehistoric societies as primitive. In Japan, the Yonaguni Monument, submerged off the coast, displays terraces and precise angles that strongly suggest human craftsmanship from a time when sea levels were significantly lower, possibly 10,000 years ago. In Bolivia, Pumapunku's stone blocks, cut with laser-like precision, defy explanation when considering traditional Inca tools. These sites, like Giza, share a striking hallmark. They appear suddenly, fully formed, with no clear predecessors, as if drawing on a profound knowledge that tragically vanished with its creators. Could Atlantis, or a civilization remarkably similar to it, have been the ultimate source? Its influence perhaps spreading across continents before a devastating cataclysm erased its heart. Could Atlantis, or a civilization remarkably similar to it, have been the ultimate source? The Giza Plateau itself offers tantalizing clues that resonate powerfully with this theory. The underground network beneath the pyramids and Sphinx, meticulously mapped by radar in 2008, reveals chambers and tunnels too precise to be natural, powerfully suggesting an infrastructure far older than the pharaohs. The Osiris shaft, with its empty stone box and eerie acoustics, feels less like a tomb and more like a relic of a purpose we cannot name. The Coptic scroll, tragically lost to fire, spoke of beacons of stone built before language, a profound description that echoes Plato's account of Atlantis's grand architecture. The Inventory Stela and Dream Stela portray Khufu and Thutmose IV as humble restorers, not original builders, as if Giza's monuments were inherited from an era dramatically preceding Egypt. Together, these persistent hints paint a compelling picture of a civilization that left its indelible mark in enduring stone, acutely aware that its world was tragically fading, its precious knowledge at imminent risk of being forgotten. But what kind of civilization could achieve such monumental feats? Plato described Atlantis as a society of remarkably advanced engineers, capable of constructing elaborate harbors, intricate canals, and grand temples that rivaled the wonders of Greece. If the Great Pyramid was indeed their work, its construction, 2.3 million blocks, some weighing 15 tons, placed with sub-millimeter accuracy, suggests an unparalleled mastery of logistics, mathematics, and material science. The pyramid's precise alignment with Orion's belt and the pole star, intrinsically tied to the 25,920-year precession cycle, implies an understanding of astronomy that Egypt's documented records simply do not reflect. The conspicuous absence of hieroglyphs, so strikingly unlike traditional Egyptian tombs, could indicate a culture that profoundly valued universal symbols, geometry, immutable ratios, over transient, evolving languages. Atlantis, or a similar advanced civilization, might have constructed Giza as a vast time capsule, meticulously encoding profound knowledge in enduring stone to survive a catastrophe they somehow foresaw, whether it was a devastating flood, a seismic quake, or a radical climate shift. This brings us to the enduring legend of the Hall of Records, a concept popularized by the mystic Edgar Cayce in the early 20th century. Cayce claimed that deep beneath the Sphinx lies a hidden chamber containing the accumulated wisdom of Atlantis, ancient texts, sophisticated tools, perhaps even advanced technologies that could fundamentally redefine our past. Radar scans in the 1980s and 2000s undeniably detected voids beneath the Sphinx and pyramids, powerfully supporting the idea of hidden spaces. The sealed doors found by robots in the Great Pyramid's shafts, one in 1993 by Upua II and another in 2002 by the Pyramid rover, could plausibly lead to such a chamber. The copper pins on the first door, symbolically linked to divine power, might mark a sacred threshold to this archive, meant only for those truly ready to understand its profound contents. The Egyptian authorities' steadfast refusal to explore these spaces, dismissing them as nothing, fuels intense speculation that they either know or profoundly fear what lies within. The Atlantis theory also connects to a broader global pattern of lost civilizations. In Sumerian texts, the Fumuriyish texts, the Finuma Elish speaks of a world before the Great Flood, shaped by gods wielding divine tools. The Hindu Mahabharata describes ancient cities with technologies that sound like science fiction. These myths, found across diverse cultures, share a common thread, a golden age of profound knowledge ended by catastrophe, leaving only fragments in enduring stone or fleeting story. The end of the African humid period around 4000 BCE dramatically transformed the Sahara into a desert, compelling human populations to migrate towards the Nile, where Egypt would majestically rise. If Atlantis existed, its survivors might have carried their profound knowledge to Giza, constructing monuments specifically to preserve what their sinking island could not. The Sphinx's erosion, the pyramid's intricate codes, the underground network, all could be their enduring legacy, a timeless message to future generations that their world once was. Yet the profound silence surrounding these possibilities is deafening. The Egyptian authorities, actively backed by institutions like UNESCO, stringently control Giza's excavations. Discoveries that challenge the Fourth Dynasty timeline, radar scans, robot findings, ancient texts, are consistently dismissed or actively suppressed. This pervasive pattern of concealment, as we've seen, strongly suggests a fear, not of artifacts, but of profound ideas. If Giza was indeed built by a lost civilization, it would imply that the pharaohs were not the architects of their greatest wonders, but mere inheritors, claiming a legacy they simply could not replicate. It would compel us to fundamentally rethink human progress, admitting that advanced societies rose and fell long before our earliest records begin. The legend of Atlantis, whether literal or symbolic, powerfully embodies this fear, a chilling reminder that our history might be a recurring cycle of profound forgetting, not a straight, glorious line of linear advancement. Imagine the lost shores of Atlantis, its magnificent temples sinking beneath the relentless waves, its people scattering to build one final enduring monument under Egypt's eternal stars. The Great Pyramid and Sphinx stand as their echo, silent yet enduring, their profound secrets buried in stone and sand. The legend of Atlantis is more than just a story. It's a profound question, asking us to look beyond the pharaohs, beyond our cherished timelines, to a civilization that left its indelible mark not merely to be remembered, but to ensure we never forget what we've tragically lost. The Great Pyramid of Giza is a marvel of stone. Its 2.3 million blocks are testament to a precision that defies ancient tools. But it's not just the visible structure that captivates. It's the invisible, the way sound moves within its chambers, as if the builders understood principles of acoustics we are only beginning to grasp. Step into the king's chamber, the granite heart of the pyramid, and you'll feel it. A space where whispers linger, where certain tones seem to vibrate the very air itself. The chamber, built from massive granite blocks hauled an astonishing 800 kilometers from Aswan, is a box of perfect proportions, 10 meters long, 5 meters wide, 5.8 meters high. Its walls, fitted so tightly no blade can slip between, create an acoustic environment unlike any other in Egypt. Speak softly, and your voice carries with unnatural clarity. Chant a low note, and the stone itself seems to hum in response, as if precisely tuned to a frequency woven into its very design. This isn't imagination, it's measurable. Researchers, including acoustic engineers, have meticulously studied the king's chamber and found that its precise dimensions align with harmonic ratios, creating a resonance that amplifies specific frequencies. A tone at around 110 Hz, for instance, produces a standing wave, a vibration that feels almost physical, as if the chamber was deliberately constructed to capture. The granite, rich in quartz, is a natural conductor of vibration, its crystalline structure capable of resonating like a tuning fork. When struck or exposed to certain sounds, the stone vibrates, sustaining notes in ways that powerfully suggest intentional design. This isn't the chaotic echo of a cave or tomb, it's a controlled acoustic space, meticulously engineered to manipulate sound with a precision that rivals modern concert halls. The phenomenon extends beyond the king's chamber. Deep beneath the Giza plateau in the Osiris shaft near Khafra's causeway, another acoustic mystery unfolds. This vertical tunnel, plunging over 30 meters into the bedrock, terminates in a chamber with 6 side niches and a stone box, utterly empty of any burial traces. Here too sound behaves strangely. Whispers carry across the room with startling clarity, while louder sounds seem curiously muffled, absorbed by the dense stone. Acoustic tests reveal that the chamber resonates at low frequencies, around 120 Hz, creating a sensation that some describe as trance-like, as if the space was designed to alter perception. The smooth walls, carved with remarkably consistent tool marks, enhance this effect, suggesting a deliberate understanding of how sound interacts with stone. This isn't a tomb, it's a chamber built to sing, to hold vibrations that connect the physical and the intangible. What could this profound acoustic phenomenon truly mean? In ancient Egypt, sound was considered sacred, inextricably tied to creation and divine order. The god Thoth, master of wisdom, was said to have spoken the world into being, and priests utilized chants, music, and instruments to commune with the gods. But the acoustics of the Great Pyramid and Osiris shaft extend far beyond mere ritual. They powerfully suggest a technology of sound, a mastery of physics that could harness vibrations for profound purposes we cannot yet fully comprehend. Some researchers propose that the king's chamber was a resonance chamber, meticulously designed to amplify specific frequencies for spiritual or practical effects. The low hum of 110 Hz, for example, is known to induce calmness or altered states of consciousness, a phenomenon actively studied in modern neuroscience. Could the pyramid's builders have used sound to influence the mind, to connect with cosmic forces, or even to manipulate energy? This idea finds echoes in other ancient cultures. In Malta, the Hippogeum of Halsaf-Lieni, a 5,000-year-old underground temple, possesses chambers meticulously tuned to resonate at 110 to 1101 Hz, creating effects that some believe were utilized for rituals or healing. In Peru, Chavin de Huantad's stone corridors amplify low-frequency sounds, guiding priests through darkened passages with acoustic cues. These sites, much like Giza, powerfully suggest a global tradition of acoustic engineering, where sound was not merely art but a profound technology, employed to shape experience or manipulate environment. The Great Pyramid's granite, with its rich quartz content, could potentially act as a piezoelectric material, generating small electrical charges under vibration. While speculative, this aligns with theories inspired by Nikola Tesla, who believed ancient structures could harness Earth's natural energies through resonance. Could the pyramid truly be a machine, not of gears but of frequencies, built to tap into forces we have long forgotten how to use? The implications are profound. If the pyramid and its subterranean chambers were indeed designed for resonance, they might serve a purpose far beyond mere symbolism. Some researchers, like engineer Christopher Dunn, argue that the Great Pyramid was a power generator, utilizing sound or vibration to produce energy. The king's chamber, with its granite and precise dimensions, could focus acoustic waves, perhaps to charge objects, influence materials, or even communicate across vast distances. The air shafts, meticulously aligned with stars, might have served as conduits, not for air, but for energy, connecting the pyramid to cosmic rhythms. While no direct evidence currently supports this, the chamber's acoustics and the pyramid's overall precision, its alignment to true north, its encoding of pi and phi, powerfully hint at a profound knowledge of physics that far surpasses Egypt's documented capabilities. The Osiris shaft, with its similar acoustic properties, could be an integral part of this system, a subterranean counterpart meticulously designed to resonate in harmony. This brings us to a bolder question. Who possessed such profound knowledge? The Egyptians of the 4th dynasty were undeniably skilled builders, but their texts show no understanding of advanced acoustics or piezoelectric effects. Their tools, rudimentary copper chisels, wooden levers, simply could not have produced the flawless granite surfaces of the king's chamber. The conspicuous absence of hieroglyphs in the pyramid, so strikingly unlike other Egyptian tombs, strongly suggests a purpose not intrinsically tied to their religion. Could this technology belong to a lost civilization, one that profoundly understood sound as a fundamental force, not just a ritual element? The Coptic scroll, tragically burned before translation, spoke of beacons of stone built before language, hinting at a people who left their indelible mark in Giza. The Sphinx's water erosion, dated to 7,000 years ago, supports this, as does the underground network, with its precise chambers suggesting a forgotten infrastructure. The resonance of Giza also connects to the enduring legend of Atlantis, described by Plato as a civilization of remarkably advanced engineers. If Atlantis existed, its survivors might have brought their profound knowledge to the Nile, constructing monuments to preserve their science through a coming catastrophe. The acoustic properties of the pyramid and Osiris shaft could be remnants of this advanced technology, meticulously designed to harness sound for purposes we cannot fathom, perhaps healing, long-distance communication, or energy production. The persistent pattern of concealment we've uncovered, sealed tunnels, silenced robots, burned scrolls, strongly suggests that modern authorities fear this truth. The Egyptian government, actively backed by institutions like UNESCO, stringently restricts access to Giza's sensitive sites. Could they be hiding irrefutable evidence of an ancient technology too powerful or too alien to reveal? This fear of revelation isn't unique to Egypt. In India, the ancient city of Dwarka, submerged off the coast, is said to house structures with advanced engineering, yet excavations are severely limited. In Mesopotamia, cuneiform texts hint at divine weapons that manipulated sound or light, routinely dismissed as myth. The conspiracy of silence, as we've seen, guards Giza's secrets with locked gates and resolute official denials. If the pyramid's acoustics were part of a technology from a lost civilization, revealing them could fundamentally challenge our entire view of human progress, powerfully suggesting we are not the first to master such profound forces. Some even speculate an extraterrestrial origin, as Erich von Däniken proposed, pointing to the pyramid's unparalleled precision as compelling evidence of alien guidance. While fringe, this idea powerfully underscores the profound mystery. The technology of Giza feels beyond human, beyond ancient, beyond us. Could the Great Pyramid and Sphinx be the work of extraterrestrial beings, visitors from the stars who left their indelible mark in enduring stone? The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a monument to the impossible. The internal chambers, like the King's Chamber, are built with granite, hold 800 kilometers, fitted so tightly no blade can slip between. The air shafts point to Orion's belt and the pole star, precisely as they appeared in 2450 BCE, powerfully suggesting knowledge of stellar motion far beyond Egypt's documented records. The pyramid encodes mathematical constants, pi, phi, and Earth's dimensions, in ways that imply a grasp of geometry and astronomy entirely undocumented in the Fourth Dynasty. The Sphinx, with its water erosion from 7,000 years ago, hints at an even older origin. These profound anomalies strain the conventional narrative of copper tools and human labor. Could they point to a source beyond Earth, a civilization from the cosmos that shaped Giza's wonders? This idea, radical as it sounds, was popularized by Erich von Däniken in his 1968 book, Chariots of the Gods. Von Däniken argued that ancient monuments like the Great Pyramid could only be explained by extraterrestrial intervention. The astonishing precision of Giza's construction, he claimed, unequivocally required technology far beyond what humans possessed 4,500 years ago, moving 15-ton blocks, aligning structures to celestial bodies, encoding universal constants. These feats strongly suggest tools or knowledge not found in Egyptian texts. The conspicuous absence of hieroglyphs in the pyramid, unlike every other royal tomb, further adds to the profound mystery. Why build such a monumental structure and leave no claim, no story, unless the builders were not of this world, their purpose not intrinsically tied to human glory? Von Däniken proposed that aliens visited Earth, sharing their advanced technology with early humans, or constructing these structures as beacons, observatories, or even landing sites. The evidence, while speculative, is compelling when viewed through this provocative lens. The Great Pyramid's alignment to true north, within a mere fraction of a degree, requires a global perspective, knowledge of Earth's axis and magnetic field, concepts entirely unrecorded in ancient Egypt. The air-shaft stellar alignments, precisely targeting Orion and the pole star, suggest a profound fixation on the cosmos, as if the pyramid were a direct bridge between Earth and the heavens. Orion, in Egyptian mythology, was indeed linked to Osiris, god of rebirth, but the exacting precision of these alignments implies a scientific understanding, not just religious symbolism. The pyramid's mathematical codes, its perimeter yielding 2p when divided by its height, its slope embedding the golden ratio, point to a universal language, one that might resonate with beings who navigate the stars. The conspicuous lack of inscriptions, so unlike Egypt's verbose tombs, could mean the builders spoke through geometry, a language that profoundly transcends planets. Beyond Giza, other ancient sites further fuel this hypothesis. In Peru, the Nazca Lines, massive geoglyphs visible only from the air, stretch across the desert, their purpose unknown. Were they signals to skyward visitors, as von Däniken suggested? In Bolivia, Puma Punku's stone blocks, cut with a precision that utterly defies Inca tools, seem to belong to a technology we cannot explain. The megaliths of Baalbek, Lebanon, weighing up to 800 tons, challenge human engineering even today. These sites, like Giza, share a striking hallmark. They appear suddenly, with no clear technological predecessors, as if gifted by a source beyond Earth. The Sumerian Anunnaki, gods said to come from the heavens, are described in ancient texts as teachers of civilization. Could they, or beings remarkably similar to them, have guided the construction of Giza, leaving monuments as irrefutable proof of their presence? The underground network beneath Giza adds another profound layer. Radar scans in 2008 revealed chambers and tunnels, some with geometric precision, powerfully suggesting an infrastructure far older than the pharaohs. The Osiris shaft, with its empty stone box and eerie acoustics, resonates at frequencies that alter perception, hinting at a purpose tied to sound or energy. Could these spaces be remnants of extraterrestrial technology, meticulously designed for communication, energy production, or even interstellar signaling? The sealed doors in the pyramid's shafts, discovered by robots in 1993 and 2002, bear copper pins, metals sacred to Egyptian gods associated with divine power. Were these markers for a technology we cannot comprehend, left by beings who knew their creations would outlast their visit? This brings us to the most provocative question: why the profound silence? The Egyptian authorities, through the Supreme Council of Antiquities, have consistently blocked exploration of Giza's hidden spaces. Radar anomalies beneath the Sphinx, robot discoveries in the pyramid, and historical reports of underground chambers are routinely dismissed as nothing. This pervasive pattern of concealment, as we've seen, strongly suggests a profound fear of what might be found. If Giza's monuments were built by extraterrestrials, or with their direct guidance, revealing this could utterly upend our understanding of human history. It would mean we are not alone, that our greatest achievements might be borrowed from the stars. Institutions like UNESCO, which oversees archaeological sites, and global governments might fear the chaos of such a revelation, not just for science but for religion, culture, and our very sense of identity. The conspiracy deepens when we consider the broader pattern. Ancient texts across diverse cultures hint at sky beings. The Hindu Vimanas, flying machines in the Mahabharata, describe aerial battles with advanced technology. The Book of Enoch, an apocryphal text, speaks of watchers who descended from the heavens, teaching humans forbidden knowledge. The Dogon people of Mali, with their remarkably detailed knowledge of the Sirius star system, claim it came from amphibious beings from the stars. These stories, routinely dismissed as myth, share a common, unsettling thread: contact with advanced entities who profoundly shaped early civilizations. Giza's anomalies, its precision, its cosmic alignments, its profound silence, fit this narrative, powerfully suggesting a connection to a cosmic intelligence that left its indelible mark and then departed. But why leave such monumental structures if extraterrestrials built or guided the construction of Giza? What was their ultimate purpose? The pyramid's astonishing resilience, surviving 4,500 years of earthquakes and invasions, powerfully suggests a design meant for geological time. Its mathematical codes, pi phi Earth's dimensions, are universal, intended for any civilization advanced enough to accurately measure them. Could it be a beacon, signaling to future visitors, or to humanity when we are finally ready? The Sphinx, gazing at the equinox sunrise, might mark a cosmic rendezvous point, its water-worn stone a testament to its immense age. The underground chambers, sealed and silent, could house technology or records, patiently waiting for a time when we are prepared to understand. The pattern of suppression, burned scrolls, locked tunnels, halted robots, strongly implies that some, perhaps even modern powers, know far more than they admit. The internal chambers, the King's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, the subterranean passages, are constructed with granite and limestone fitted so tightly that no blade can slip between. The air shafts point to stars like Orion's belt. The ratios of its dimensions encode pi and phi, and its measurements mirror Earth's polar radius and equatorial circumference. We're told this was Khufu's tomb, built around 2580 BCE, but the conspicuous absence of hieroglyphs, grave goods, or a mummy fundamentally challenges that story. The pyramid's profound silence, its precise cosmic alignments, its enduring strength, they all powerfully suggest a purpose far grander than a pharaoh's afterlife. What if the pyramid was never truly meant to honor the dead, but to safeguard profound knowledge for the living, for a future that might tragically forget everything else? This profound idea transforms the pyramid from a mere monument into a complex machine, not of gears or wires, but of geometry and enduring resilience. Its design is far too precise, too universal, to serve only one king or one transient era. The constants it meticulously encodes, pi phi Earth's dimensions, are timeless, utterly independent of language, culture or belief. Unlike fragile papyrus scrolls or crumbling clay tablets, which decay or become unreadable, enduring stone persists. Unlike hieroglyphs which require a Rosetta Stone to decipher, mathematics speaks eloquently to any civilization with the tools to accurately measure. The pyramid's profound silence, its conspicuous lack of inscriptions, is not an omission but a deliberate strategy, a way to ensure its profound message survives the inevitable collapse of empires, the tragic loss of languages, the collective forgetting of gods. It stands as a vast repository, a monumental vault of knowledge, meticulously built to outlast catastrophe and guide a future world back to fundamental truths it might have tragically lost. The pyramid's intricate mathematical codes are the crucial key to this profound purpose. Divide its perimeter, 916 meters, by its height, 106.6 meters, and you get 6.2857, within 0.1% of 2p. The slope at 51.84 degrees subtly embeds the golden ratio, F to phi, a constant revered across diverse cultures for its inherent harmony. Multiply the height by 43,200, and you approximate the Earth's polar radius. Multiply the perimeter by the same factor, and you precisely match the equatorial circumference. This number 43,200 is no accident. It's intrinsically tied to the precession of the equinoxes, a monumental 25,920-year cycle in Earth's axial wobble, a phenomenon requiring centuries of meticulous observation to detect. These ratios are not the result of mere trial and error, but of deliberate, precise calculation, a timeless language of numbers that transcends linear time. Whoever built the pyramid knew that pi and phi would remain eternally true, that Earth's shape would endure, that the stars would shift but eventually return. They constructed a structure specifically to preserve these profound truths, not for Egypt, but for anyone who might come after. This profound concept of a knowledge repository finds compelling echoes in other ancient sites. Stonehenge, built around 2500 BCE, meticulously aligns with the solstices, encoding astronomical cycles in its massive stones. The megaliths of Baalbek, Lebanon, some weighing 800 tons, powerfully suggest a purpose beyond mere architecture, their astonishing precision hinting at a lost science. Yonaguni's submerged structures off Japan, possibly 10,000 years old, feature terraces that defy natural erosion, as if meticulously built to withstand rising seas. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to 9600 BCE, with its carved pillars aligned to stars, dramatically predates agriculture and writing, yet speaks of a sophistication we cannot explain. These sites, like Giza, feel like enduring anchors in time, built to survive profound disasters that ultimately erased their creators. The Great Pyramid, with its cosmic alignments and mathematical precision, could well be the greatest of these, a vast time capsule meticulously designed for a world slowly recovering from catastrophe. What kind of catastrophe? The African humid period, ending around 4000 BCE, dramatically transformed the Sahara from a green paradise to an arid desert, displacing entire populations to the Nile where Egypt would majestically rise. Geological records reveal floods, radical climate shifts, and immense upheavals that could have utterly destroyed entire civilizations. Plato's legend of Atlantis, a sophisticated society swallowed by the sea 9,000 years before his time, might powerfully reflect such a cataclysm. If the pyramid's builders, whether Atlantean, extraterrestrial, or a lost human culture, foresaw this, they might have constructed Giza as a desperate safeguard, a way to preserve their profound knowledge through the impending chaos. The pyramid's astonishing resilience, surviving countless earthquakes, invasions, and 4,500 years, irrefutably proves it was built for geological time, not ephemeral human reigns. Its profound silence, no hieroglyphs, no royal claims, ensures its message is universal, meant for any civilization in any era that can accurately measure its fundamental truths. The pyramid's acoustics, as we've explored, only deepen this profound purpose. The king's chamber resonates at specific frequencies, like 1110 Hz, inducing calmness or altered states, while the Osiris shaft below amplifies whispers in uncanny ways, inducing calmness or altered states, while the Osiris shaft below amplifies whispers in uncanny ways. These unique properties powerfully suggest a technology of sound, perhaps utilized to connect with cosmic forces or preserve profound knowledge through vibration. Could the pyramid truly be a machine for memory, its chambers meticulously tuned to frequencies that encode information in ways we do not yet understand? Nikola Tesla, who profoundly studied resonance and energy, believed ancient structures could harness Earth's natural forces. The pyramid's granite, rich in quartz, might act as a piezoelectric conductor, generating charges under vibration. This speculative idea aligns perfectly with the pyramid's extraordinary design, its precision, its alignments, its profound silence, all powerfully suggesting a purpose beyond mere ritual, a sophisticated technology meticulously meant to endure. This brings us to a haunting question. Why hide this profound knowledge? The persistent pattern of concealment we've uncovered, sealed tunnels, halted robots, burned scrolls, strongly suggests a deliberate effort to keep Giza's secrets buried. The Egyptian authorities, actively backed by institutions like UNESCO, stringently restrict access to sensitive sites, routinely dismissing radar anomalies and robot discoveries as nothing. If the pyramid is a vast repository for future generations, why consistently suppress its exploration, routinely dismissing radar anomalies? Perhaps the truth it holds about a lost civilization, advanced technology, or even extraterrestrial origins is simply too disruptive. It would fundamentally challenge the narrative of Egypt as the sole cradle of Giza's wonders, powerfully suggesting the pharaohs were mere caretakers, not original creators. It would compel us to admit that human history is not a steady, linear climb, but a recurring cycle of majestic rise and tragic fall, with profound knowledge gained and lost across millennia. The conspiracy of silence extends far beyond Egypt. In Mesoamerica, Maya codices were tragically burned by conquistadors, deliberately erasing knowledge that might have rivaled European science. In Mesopotamia, cuneiform texts hinting at pre-flood civilizations were routinely dismissed as myths until sites like Göbekli Tepe proved otherwise. The Great Pyramid, with its universal codes, might be a desperate safeguard against such catastrophic losses, a monumental structure meticulously built to outlast profound forgetting. Its builders, whether human or otherwise, chose enduring stone over transient words, immutable geometry over ephemeral language, profoundly knowing that civilizations inevitably fade, but numbers endure. The pyramid is a reset point, a luminous beacon for a future that might desperately need to rediscover Pi or Earth's precise place in the grand cosmos. A profound lesson, meticulously carved, for a world reborn from ruin. Welcome back, seekers of the eternal shadows, to the final chapter of Mystery History for Sleep. I'm your faithful guide through the veiled enigmas of time, where the sands of Giza cradle truths too profound for our waking minds to fully grasp. Over these nights we've journeyed together across the Giza plateau, standing before the Sphinx with its water-worn scars that whisper of reigns long ceased, tracing the Great Pyramid's cosmic codes that encode the very secrets of the universe. We've questioned its silent chambers, empty of a pharaoh's remains, and uncovered stelae that paint Khufu and Thutmose IV not as builders, but as humble restorers of something far older. We've descended into the hidden tunnels beneath Giza, followed robots to sealed doors that guard unspoken mysteries, and mourned a Coptic scroll lost to flames before its words could rewrite our past. We've unraveled a conspiracy of silence, intricately woven by those in power, explored the legend of Atlantis as a possible cradle for these wonders, and even dared to consider extraterrestrial hands shaping the colossal stones. We've listened to the pyramid's resonant hum, a symphony of ancient physics that hints at technologies beyond our comprehension. Now, as the desert night deepens, and the stars majestically wheel overhead in their eternal dance, we arrive at the conclusion, a pivotal moment to weave these disparate threads into a tapestry that reveals the true astonishing shape of Giza's enigma. It's not a shape born of kings or gods, not a monument solely to glory or death. It's the profound shape that memory itself forgot, a form meticulously carved in enduring stone to defy forgetting itself, a vast repository designed not for the past, but for the profound future. The Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, the entire plateau, they stand as a silent archive, a monumental vault of knowledge, meticulously built to endure the collapse of worlds, patiently waiting for a time when humanity might desperately need to remember what it has tragically lost. Close your eyes, let the gentle rhythm of my voice carry you, and allow this final tale to unfold like the horizon at dawn, slowly revealing the light in the profound darkness. From the very beginning, the clues have pointed to a profound truth that transcends Egypt's pharaohs. The Sphinx, with its erosion patterns meticulously carved by rains that fell 7,000 years ago, dramatically predates the arid desert we know, powerfully suggesting a builder from a greener, forgotten era. The Great Pyramid, its base aligned to true north with impossible precision, encodes pi and phi in its dimensions, precisely mirroring Earth's curvature, and the majestic precession of the equinoxes, knowledge that should have required telescopes and calculus, tools conspicuously absent from ancient Egypt's arsenal. The empty king's chamber, resonant with frequencies that alter perception, feels less like a tomb and more like a chamber meticulously tuned to cosmic harmonies. The Inventory and Dream Stelae eloquently speak of restoration, not creation, as if Khufu and Thutmose IV merely stumbled upon sacred sites they could honor but not truly claim. The underground network, with its precise chambers and uncanny acoustics, hints at an infrastructure for a purpose we cannot name, while sealed doors, discovered by robots, remain unopened, their copper pins glinting like warnings from another time. These elements, intricately woven together, form a compelling narrative not of Egyptian triumph, but of profound inheritance, a legacy from a lost civilization that acutely sensed its end was near. Whether Atlantis, as Plato vividly described, sinking beneath waves in a cataclysm of floods and quakes, or another advanced society utterly erased by the Sahara's relentless transformation, the builders of Giza seem to have presciently foreseen oblivion. They did not inscribe their names or stories in fragile hieroglyphs, profoundly knowing that languages fade and cultures crumble. Instead, they encoded their profound wisdom in the universal, immutable tongue of mathematics and geometry, meticulously carving constants like pi and phi into enduring stone that would majestically outlast empires. The pyramid's silence is its immense strength, a profound message meant for any future, any people who might measure its slopes and rediscover Earth's precise shape, the stars' eternal cycles, the immutable ratios that bind the vast cosmos. Imagine a world teetering on the brink of collapse, rains failing, seas rising, societies fracturing under the immense weight of relentless change. The builders, masters of astronomy and engineering, construct a monumental structure specifically to survive the coming storm, not to glorify themselves, but to anchor profound knowledge for those who come after. They meticulously align it to the stars, profoundly knowing Orion's belt would return in its grand cycle, a celestial clock ticking through millennia. They tune its chambers to resonate, perhaps to preserve vital information in vibrations, or to guide future seekers through altered states of awareness. The Sphinx, half lion, half god, gazes steadfastly at the equinox sunrise, marking the eternal renewal of time. Its water scars, an irrefutable record of the deluge that nearly claimed their world. This is no tomb for a mere king, but a vast library for humanity, a monumental repository where the very shape of memory endures, even when memory itself is profoundly forgotten. The conspiracy of concealment we've uncovered makes perfect sense in this illuminating light. The Egyptian authorities, academics, and powerful global institutions guard Giza, not merely for tourism or preservation, but precisely because its profound truth threatens our fragile sense of linear progress. If the pyramid is a time capsule from a lost civilization, it fundamentally admits that advanced knowledge has majestically risen and tragically fallen before, that our own world might not be the pinnacle, but merely a fleeting chapter. The burned Coptic scroll, vividly describing beacons of stone before language, was silenced specifically to prevent this earth-shattering revelation. The sealed doors, the dismissed radar scans, the halted explorations, they all collectively protect a carefully constructed narrative that keeps us blind to our cyclical past. Even the bold hypothesis of extraterrestrial involvement fits seamlessly here. If beings from the stars built or guided Giza, the pyramid becomes a cosmic repository, a profound message from beyond, patiently waiting for us to evolve enough to truly understand it. But the pyramid's true power lies in its immense patience. It does not demand belief or worship. It simply stands, its colossal stones weathering time, its intricate codes patiently waiting to be measured anew. For a future civilization emerging from ruins, perhaps after our own collapse, the site offers a fundamental blueprint, the ratio of pi to rebuild circles, phi for harmony and design, Earth's precise dimensions to map the planet. The alignments to Orion remind them of the stars' eternal dance. The resonant chambers teach them to listen to the universe's ceaseless hum. This is the profound shape that memory forgot, a form so enduring it outlives forgetting. A monument built not to remember the past, but to ensure the future remembers how to begin again. As we conclude this profound journey, let the immense weight of Giza's enigma settle upon you like the desert night. The Great Pyramid and Sphinx are more than mere stones. They're a profound question, a monumental challenge, an invaluable gift. They ask us to look beyond the stories we've been told, to question the profound silence, to accurately measure the truths hidden in plain sight. Whether built by a lost human civilization, guided by extraterrestrials, or born of Atlantis's final breath, Giza stands as a timeless repository for what matters most, the fundamental knowledge that intrinsically binds us to the cosmos. the immutable constants that remain when all else fades. In this profound shape, memory endures, forgotten yet unforgotten, waiting with the eternal patience of stone for the day we are finally ready.